MLB pipeline, who knows everything about these prospects. This is going to be a lot of fun, Sam, because these are two organizations that are really committed to the foundation of their farm systems.
Yeah, you think about the offseason that both of these clubs have had. They've gone out and acquired prospect talent. Now, the next step is developing that talent and getting them into multiple top 100 prospects. We're going to see a lot of that new talent on the field, both from trades and the draft. I can't wait to get this thing started.
Yeah, and speaking of draft, if you're talking about a #1 pick in a breakout series, your eyes are going to gravitate to that #1 pick. It is one of the youngest players you're going to see. He started his pro career at the age of 17. Last year's top overall selection, Eli Willits, is in the lineup playing shortstop.
Yeah, it's a plus hit tool from Eli Willits. He's a switch hitter, a little bit better from the left side, plus run tool. He's an exceptional defensive shortstop as well. A lot of really good foundational building blocks to get going for him in his first full season.
As for the St. Louis Cardinals, J.J. Weatherholt may break camp as the starting second baseman for the St. Louis Cardinals. He's going to be in the lineup and a central focus for Cardinal fans this afternoon.
Yeah, J.J. Weatherholt, I'm really grateful that he's playing in this game because not a lot of MLB-ready prospects participate in Spring Breakout. This is his opportunity to show why he's knocking on the door of St. Louis, trying to win an opening day job, and why he's so much better than many other prospects in the game. He's number 5 overall on our top 100 because it's a borderline plus hit tool. He showed better power at Memphis than he did at AA Springfield. And the defense can be really good at second base as well. It's a really well-rounded package for J.J. Weatherholt.
And it's a new position for him at second base. He was drafted as a shortstop. They made him make the transition because they have a Gold Glover in Mason Wynn as short. So Weatherholt's going to be in the lineup. There you see him there wearing number 7. He had been wearing number 77 so far in spring training. They're expecting him to have a different number come opening day. There's draft pick compensation for an organization if a player breaks camp, a top prospect, and ends up in the top 3 in Rookie of the Year voting. So it behooves Chaim Bloom, the president of baseball operations, to make that decision. We talked to him before this game started. He said that's not going to be the driving force, but we'll chat with Chaim a little later on in this broadcast to talk about Weatherholt.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Weatherholt can do as a rookie. I think he's got the hit tool to hit the ground running. Multiple ways he can provide value. You talked about that double play tandem between him and Mason Wynn. Those guys are only a few months apart, but it feels like Wynn's the veteran taking Weatherholt under his wing. I think he could learn a lot from playing right next to one of the best defensive shortstops in baseball.
Well, the starting pitcher in this game is an interesting character to watch. Liam Doyle came from the University of Tennessee. He was the Cardinals' top pick in last year's first round of the draft. So when everyone talks about Eli Willits being the #1 pick, just a few selections later was Liam Doyle. What do you make of this left-hander?
Yeah, prepare for electricity, prepare for fire, prepare for whatever word you want to use in terms of Liam Doyle. Coming out of Tennessee last year, it was a plus fastball for him. He was touching 100, 95 to 97, but it's got really explosive ride up there. The thing for the Cardinals is they have to figure out the secondaries. He's got a bit of a splitter that can be an above-average pitch. Is it a cutter? Is it a slider? What's going to work for him best? But that foundation starts with the fastball.
You see the strikeouts in college. Incredible swing and miss for Liam Doyle, who's on the mound this afternoon. Look at the lineup for the Washington Nationals. Eli Willits will be leading things off. Gavin Feen is going to be your DH. Second base, Seaver King, a guy that really catapulted up the draft a couple years ago. Pinckney is in center field. Morales at first. Ronnie Cruz is your third baseman. Sam Peterson at the bottom of the lineup is playing right field. But it's going to be all eyes on that young man right there. An 18-year-old, Eli Willits, in the same draft as a Holiday. And when you're in the same draft as a Holiday, in this case, Ethan Holiday, people are going to be comparing Willits to Holiday for years to come.
Yeah, that was a discussion that happened a lot before the draft. I think Eli Willits had the advantage in terms of athleticism, ability to stick to shortstop, but Ethan Holiday had the advantage in terms of power. Willits did a little bit better in his single-A debut last year than Holiday. They both got thrown into the deep end of the minor leagues. We get to see Eli Willits bat from the right side here to start, which I'm excited to see against another first-rounder in Liam Doyle.
We're happy that you can join us for this breakout series ball game. All day long on MLB Network, we're showcasing the top prospects for so many different organizations, and we're ready for live baseball. And the first pitch misses from Liam Doyle. You know, the conversation when he was in college was, at the next level, will Doyle be a reliever or a starter? that is almost a silly conversation to Chaim Bloom because you're not drafting a reliever in the top 10 picks of a draft.
No, and I think a lot of people see his fiery nature on the mound and they think, well, that's going to work as a closer. That's why everybody starts to make that comp. And because the fastball is so good and the secondaries are a little bit more questionable, but they should give him as much run at starting as they possibly can. We saw the strikeout total over 90+ innings last year. If they could replicate that this year over 120 innings, he's going to be a top 10 prospect by the end of the year.
He loves his fastball. He's got a good one. What about the secondary pitches? Are they developing at the speed of which this organization wants to see?
I think the thing for the Cardinals right now is trying out a few different types. You know, again, that cutter or a slider, is that going to be better for him? The splitter can be pretty good. It flashed above average in college. I think, you know, that's what the minor leagues is for, is trying to find these pitches. They're trying to develop him as a really good major league pitcher, not a very good double-A pitcher.
Just misses on the outside corner with a changeup, which, if you're a fan of the St. Louis Cardinals, those are the pitches you want to see come out of his hand. That was a good-looking changeup.
Yeah, let's see the delivery here. Eli Willits, that's a good take by Eli Willits, too. That's one thing that's going to come up a lot today, is that the Nationals, under their new front office and their new player development group, are really hounding down on their players. Every pitch involves a swing decision, whether you are swinging the bat or not swinging the bat. Eli Willits, one of the best things about him is that he made really good swing decisions in Single-A last year. That's something they would love for him to carry into 2026.
And he draws a walk to lead this ball game off, which is what he did in his first taste of professional baseball at the age of 17, may I remind you. He had an on-base percentage over 390.
I mean, that's, yeah, again, like one of the things that they factored into their draft pick with him is that he was so young. He's another guy who has bloodlines. We were talking about Ethan Holiday, you know, obviously coming from a baseball family, but Eli Willits does as well with his dad, Reggie Willits, who played for many years in the big leagues and was coaching at Oklahoma.
Eli Willits on the run, and he's going to swipe the bag. Willits showcasing many of his skills in the first inning of this ball game.
He's somebody who's absolutely thinking about going quickly, testing Raniel Rodriguez, a top 100 prospect himself, behind the plate. Rodriguez's best defensive asset right now is his arm, but just too late to getting it to J.J. Weatherholt.
The Cardinals have plenty of depth behind the plate. It's a point of strength in the farm system. We'll talk about that with Chaim Bloom when he joins us in the booth a little later on in this broadcast. Here is Gavin Feen. You see his numbers last year in just 10 games. The 5th ranked prospect in the Washington Nationals farm system. Doyle misses upstairs. Count goes to 1-2.
Gavin Feen, another one plugging into that theme of today, which is that he came over from the Texas Rangers in the Mackenzie Gore trade in the offseason. He was the 12th overall pick by the Rangers last year, a little bit of time in the minor leagues. But like Eli Willits, he's beginning his professional career in reality this spring.
There's a rocket into the corner, and the Washington Nationals are going to take an early 1-0 lead. Feen into second, RBI double. And Liam Doyle watches the leadoff man walk, steal a bag, and then driven in with a double from Feen.
The exit velocity on that, 107.1 miles per hour. Definitely got the big part of the barrel, driving that to left field. Nice job by Gavin Feen.
Cade McGee did everything he could, leaped, needed about 3 more inches to snare that. So Doyle back on the bump, runner at second base still for Seaver King. Seaver King, a former Division II college baseball player, out of high school, did not get a Division I offer. Later transferred, became a college baseball star at a major school, and ended up becoming now the 7th ranked prospect in the Washington National system. I remember when this kid was drafted, big fan of his.
Yeah, a lot of people were coming out of Wake Forest, and the way he showed that his skills could translate to a big conference and the big, obviously, Division I. He's somebody, again, who the Nationals, under this new group, have really hounded down on swing decisions. He's said in the past, I like to swing the stick. Like, I am somebody who was up there trying to make hits happen, and then he had a .294 on-base percentage between high A and double A last year. Looked a lot better in the Arizona Fall League than he did in the summer. Hopefully he can carry that momentum into this year.
The 1-1 pitch misses away. You look at the Washington Nationals farm system, and they're one of these organizations that follow the trend of drafting a bunch of shortstops. And maybe they switch positions. In this case, Seaver King's playing second base today. But I think they just want the best athletes they can get their hands on.
That's 100%. And it's going to be really fascinating to see how things play out at Single A Fredericksburg to start the year. You can guess that Eli Willits is going to get 4 starts a week at shortstop, right? You want him being the priority guy there. But you go out and get Gavin Feen, who was a shortstop coming out of the draft. He might have to move over to third base.
Right.
Devin Fitzgerald, he may get time at second base. Luke Dickerson, who they drafted 2 years ago, maybe would be a candidate to come back. He might be at second base. Some of these guys might have to stand in the outfield a day or two a week just to get the at-bats that they need. It's a fascinating decision-making that they're going to have this spring.
Feen on the move. He's going to steal third, and he's going to stay there after an errant throw from Rodriguez. So the Nationals running on Rodriguez behind the plate.
I wonder how much of this is the fact that Raniel Rodriguez and Liam Doyle are getting to know each other, right? And this is a group that hasn't played together that much. So you test that battery as much as you can, especially when you have the speed of Eli Willits. Gavin Feen, not as quite a fast guy. He's more average speed than Eli Willits, who's a plus guy. But, hey, when you got the opportunity to be aggressive, they're taking it early.
Raniel Rodriguez, who had 20 home runs in around 80 minor league games last year, trying to show that he's not a hit-first catcher. First throw, he one-hopped to second. The second throw, he airmailed down the line. Liam Doyle looking for a punch out here. Runner at third base and no one out. Already 1-0 Washington. If you just joined us, last year's #1 overall pick, Eli Willits, drew a walk, stole a base, and scored on a double from his teammate, Gavin Feen. 3-2 pitch is fouled off. I think this is what people want to see at this level. Can Liam Doyle put away professional hitters?
Yeah, you would hope that this would have been a strikeout by now, but 2 foul balls in a row by Seaver King. Good job protecting the plate, fighting things off with 2 strikes, trying to get something he can drive a little bit more and bring in that run from third.
And there is the first. Oh, they're going to challenge the call. So I'll tell you, Seaver King, watch Rodriguez challenge a ball. And the ABS challenge, we shall see if Seaver King is right. He'll draw a walk. He is wrong. That was a good call. Caught the corner, and Doyle gets his first strikeout of the ball game.
Nice pitch there, 95.9 miles per hour, just on the black. You get to see exactly how much of it nicked there. That's a really tough pitch, because what could Seaver King do with that? Maybe push it to the right side, try to sneak it through between the first base, second base hole, but that's a really tough pitch by Liam Doyle.
Here's Andrew Pinckney, the center fielder for the Washington Nationals. Last year in the minor leagues, had 20 home runs, stole 34 bags, power speed combo in the cleanup spot this afternoon.
He's one of the toolsiest players in this game. I mean, it's 80 grade speed. You look at some of his sprint speeds from AAA last year. They were exceptional. He can touch 100 miles an hour from the grass with some of his throws. We'll see if that gets tested when the Nats play defense. But so much of that is going to come down to, can he make enough contact? It was alarming strikeout rates for most of 2025 for Andrew Pinckney. But everything else there could be a lot of red on his baseball savant page someday.
The 1-1 pitch from Liam Doyle misses inside. 97 miles an hour from the young left-hander. Does a starting pitcher have to control his emotions?
That's going to be the experiment with Liam Doyle, right? It's fascinating to think about. That's a nice pitch there. You can tell Pinckney was sitting fastball, and then it flipped it to the inner half of the plate. I think a big part of it for the Cardinals is that they like the emotion that Liam Doyle brings. They wouldn't have drafted him otherwise. And I think that informs how good the fastball plays, how much energy he brings to the mound. They don't want to turn that off so early in his career. Now, if it gets to a point where he's really struggling with control and he's not staying within himself, then you might have the conversation. But for now, I think they really want to keep Liam, let him be Liam.
And what is Liam? Liam is a hockey guy. He loves the Boston Bruins. Kind of plays like the bruiser that comes in on that third line as he gives a free pass to Andrew Pinckney, his second walk in the first inning.
He's talked about that in the past too, not just the hockey, but in terms of coming from New Hampshire, and having a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, being like, oh, we're overlooked in the Northeast. I want to prove myself. And he's done that at multiple spots in college. Started out at Coastal, went to Ole Miss, then to Tennessee. Now he's trying to see if that can translate to the pro side, that level of emotion. What's it like when you're not just playing a spring and you're pitching once a week? You might be doing it twice a week. You're trying to go from March all the way to October.
The other thing to consider here, a pitching change already. Liam Doyle, his afternoon is done. Just a third of an inning. We'll be back to Jupiter right after this. 1-0. Nats with the lead in this spring breakout.
This pitching change for the Cardinals. Now entering the game, number 73, Connor Russ.
And we're back in Jupiter, Florida for the spring breakout contest between the Nationals and the Cardinals. New pitcher is Tyler Bratt. Liam Doyle removed from the game. But it's interesting to point out, Sam Dykstra, that he can re-enter this game, correct?
Yeah, I believe it's spring training rules. So you might pull a pitcher in the middle of an inning, but he can start fresh at the top.
Another base stealing attempt. This time, Rodriguez guns him down. Pinckney thrown out at second base for the second out of the inning.
Pinckney would have been the guy I would have picked to try to steal a bag here in the first inning. So kudos to Rodriguez for making the adjustment. Nice throw here to the first base side of the bag, leading J.J. Weatherholt right into Pinckney's path for the out.
Great pick and tag from Weatherholt. Excellent. 3 stolen base attempts in the first inning. This is what I want to see. This is the point of tuning in, right?
The Nationals have said, we want to play winning baseball at every level, and that's what they're going to preach to these guys as they head to Fredericksburg, Wilmington, Harrisburg, Rochester, all 4 corners of their system. And if you can do the little things, steal bags when there's opportunities, that's how winning baseball is played.
But also for the format of this series, the breakout series, to let these young prospects showcase what they can do.
Exactly, right.
Yohandy Morales to short. And Baez makes the play across the diamond. Jesus Baez at short for the Cardinals. But the Washington Nationals do get a run on the board. Bottom half coming up from Jupiter. It's your spring breakout between the Washington Nationals and St. Louis Cardinals here at Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium. Greg Amsinger, Sam Dykstra alongside. Happy you can join us to watch the top prospects from these two organizations square off. Davian Garcia, 6'2" right-hander, former 6th rounder in 2024 out of Florida Gulf Coast University, on the mound for the Nats.
He's somebody who's been up to 97 miles per hour this spring. Didn't get a lot of strikeouts last year, 87 in 96 innings, but the Nats think he's somebody who could absolutely take off in year 2.
On the mound, he starts off at 97 miles an hour and misses to Ty Pete. Ty Pete getting the start in center field for the St. Louis Cardinals in this ball game. Ty Pete, one of many young prospects that the Cardinals believe can find their rhythm this spring and make a dent in the organization. You're going to see J.J. Weatherholt, who's on deck. Joshua Baez has everyone buzzing around here in camp. And Garcia has a hard time finding the plate early on. Falls to 3-0.
Ty Pete homered yesterday, and that's just a flash of what he can do. He's a power speed guy, moved to center field, has taken to that exceptionally well. It's just how is the swing and miss going to be? I think the Cardinals are excited to get him in the system and work on that. He's going to get a hitter's count here at 3-1.
He was acquired from the Seattle Mariners. He was a former first-round pick, 30th overall in 2023 at a Trinity Christian School in Georgia. That pitch is ball 4. So we get to see Ty Pete. Let's see if the Cardinals answer the Washington Nationals sprinting on the base paths as they did in the top half of the first base.
We might be commentating on a track meet.
Maybe.
The way this first inning is going. I mean, Ty Pete is somebody who can absolutely steal bags. He's got 60 speed, 45 steals in 2024, 25 last year.
Here is J.J. Weatherholt. Up there, swinging the bat, drives one to right, and that's going to be a knock. Weatherholt didn't take long, and Pete's going to get to third.
I think one of the defining characteristics of J.J. Weatherholt this spring is that he hasn't been somebody who's been swinging a lot, right? He's been willing to take his walks, which is not something you always see from a young player trying to win a job in Major League camp. They want to prove themselves with the bat. He's normally been pretty patient. That right there, wanting to show off the bat real quick, putting it in right field, and Ty Pete showing off the wheels by going first to third.
So the Cardinals threatening for Baez, who steps up to the plate. Joshua Baez. He's been raking this spring, and he gets drilled by Garcia. So just like that, in the blink of an eye, bases loaded, no one out for the Cardinals.
That's a tough pitch for Joshua Baez, because I wanted to see him swing the bat there. Everybody wants to see him swing the bat. Garcia willing to challenge him in. Baez just wears it on the upper left arm.
Leo Bernal, one of the catching prospects for the St. Louis Cardinals, is up next. They wanted Bernal and Rodriguez, who are hitting back-to-back in the lineup, to play in this breakout game. So he's DHing. Bernal is DHing. Rodriguez is behind the plate.
That's a fascinating decision here, and I think part of that is just to get Rodriguez more experience behind the plate. Leo Bernal actually won a Gold Glove in the minor leagues last year and is an exceptional arm behind the plate, too. It seemed like Texas League runners just stopped running against him in the second half because they knew it wasn't worth the risk. But he's DHing today. Bigger emphasis for him is going to be on the bat after he wilted a little bit in the Texas League heat in the back half of 2025.
The 1-1 pitch is fouled off by Bernal. It is the deepest position in the Cardinals farm system, correct? It's the catching position.
It would feel like it, yeah, because Jimmy Crooks, who is not playing this game, is also somebody who got a little bit of a taste of the major leagues last year. He's an exceptional defensive catcher as well. He's somebody who I don't know if I'm going to put him in the Patrick Bailey bucket just yet, but he's close. It's the glove that's going to get him opportunities up there. He and Bernal, I think, are going to open up the year with AAA Memphis and split up duties behind the plate. I was at a backfields game watching Bernal play first base, so that could be an option for them.
98 miles an hour, and Garcia gets his first out of this ball game. Davian Garcia, who's got a lot of helium right now, right?
He does, yeah. He's somebody the Nats have talked up a lot, and one thing that's come up a lot is with all of their pitchers, but they're trying to add velocity. They're trying to get these guys in a good place to blow pitches by batters. 98.4 miles an hour on that strikeout there. I was talking about how he was touching 97 when he was in a Grapefruit League game in February. He's already building on that.
The 1-0 pitch is fouled away by Rainiel Rodriguez, the young catcher who put up gaudy numbers over a few levels last year. You see that. 3 levels, 954 OPS. One of the Cardinals' top prospects. One of the many catchers that they have in this system. Garcia misses inside. 2 balls and a strike.
Think about Rainiel Rodriguez. Only 19. He just turned 19 in January. But the power is as good as anybody in this system. I think he's a candidate to potentially lead all minor league catchers in home runs this year. I don't think 30 is out of the question for him.
And he is up there hacking. Swings through that cutter. Count even at 2-2. Cardinals have plenty of depth at the big league level. Ivan Herrera, they're going to let catch maybe once every 5th day. They don't want to put that away and just make him a full-time DH. Did he go? They say he did not. So the count goes full to Rodriguez. Well, Garcia would love to showcase his ability to wiggle out of a bases-loaded, no-one-out jam.
This is a pressure situation. This is a good opportunity to show the Nats that he can be a part of their pitching future.
The 3-2 pitch. And the reason these two teams are the perfect combination of clubs for the spring breakout, at the big league level, there's just a lot of fluidity right now for both of these organizations. And we're going to get a chance to see a lot of these guys this year in the big leagues. And he punches out a terrific four-seamer at 97, and just like that, Davian Garcia is 1 out away from getting out of a bases-loaded, no-one-out jam.
Look at that pitch right at the knees. Rodriguez kind of knew it. As a fellow catcher, he probably should have swung at that. I think that's something he could have driven if he was just sitting a little bit more on the heater.
Blaze Jordan, the first baseman for the Cardinals in this game, takes a pitch low and outside for ball 1. 99 RBIs last year in the minor leagues, cracking the Cardinals' top 30 prospects.
Blaze Jordan, a former member of the Boston Red Sox organization, and that's a theme too in this Cardinals farm system right now. A lot of former Red Sox. Chaim Bloom calling his old team a lot this offseason.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, if you know where the talent is, at some point, if you're the front office of the Boston Red Sox, you go, wait a minute, you're gonna make us look bad in 3 years. All these guys are gonna be in the big leagues.
It almost made me wonder if there was going to be a Brendan Donovan to Boston trade just to continue the previous conversations they had with Sonny Gray and Wilson Contreras.
1-2 pitch, and give Davian Garcia a ton of credit as the wind carries this and Willis puts it away. Bases loaded, no one out. The Cardinals unable to push one across, and after one, the Nats do hold on to their 1-0 lead. To the second inning we go here in Jupiter, Florida. The Nationals with a 1-0 lead in this spring breakout. Ronnie Cruz digging in to face Liam Doyle again. I think it's a reminder for everyone at home, Sam Dykstra, that he can re-enter this game.
Yeah, even though he came out after 25 pitches in the first inning, they have brought him back in because they had hopes of him finishing 3 innings today. What stood out to me about that first inning, no swing and miss at all. There was 0 whiffs for Liam Doyle, and he threw more sliders than he did four-seam fastball. Four-seam fastball is his best pitch. It is still spring training, right? Like, if the slider is something the Cardinals want him working on, this is the opportunity to do that. It just leads to sometimes subpar results if it's something he's still tinkering with.
94 misses, 2-0 the count. Liam Doyle with a pair of walks in that first inning before he was removed for Tyler Bratt. Ronnie Cruz getting the start at third base for the Washington Nationals. He's at the plate now. He's just 19 years old. That changeup misses. The unconventional mechanics of Liam Doyle. He falls off the mound towards third base.
Every time it feels like he's getting halfway to third. The way he's falling off there. That's going to be something that people are going to question, right? That's why some people bring up the potential closer role for him down the line. Again, we're still in the early mode of his career. Is that something you fix now? Is that something you wait a little bit? But there, he's getting that swing and miss now.
95 in the inner third. Count full, 3 balls, 2 strikes. In many ways, it's refreshing to see an organization believe in a young man who doesn't have the conventional mechanics. You know, the cookie cutter mechanics doesn't lead to the ability to not pick up the baseball, and I think deception is a strength. He is very herky-jerky, and it does look violent, but that can also lead to an uncomfortable at bat.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that the more we understand about the sport, the more we understand that there are multiple ways to get guys out, right? Like, if everybody was trying to use the same mechanics, A, it would be boring, but B, hitters would catch on to that very, very quickly. You need to do something different. Doyle's explosiveness was certainly different at Tennessee, and it certainly worked for him. We just need to see how that's going to, again, constant theme we're coming back to, right? How does it translate when you're pitching into October?
So Cruz draws the walk. Here's Philip Glasser. He shoots this one to left field, and just like that, the first 2 aboard, much like the top of the first for the Washington Nationals.
Philip Glasser there. He's got a career 301 average, so he's somebody who's consistently produced in the minor leagues for the Washington Nationals. He was an Eastern League All-Star in 2025, a South Atlantic League All-Star in 2024, and this is a good stage for him. You know, he's not necessarily one of the big shiny names in the Nats system, but as a consistent producer going up against a big name in Liam Doyle, getting a single there, that's exactly what Philip Glasser's in this game to do.
Here's the catcher, Caleb Lomavita at the plate. Former first rounder in 2024, 39th overall. You see his numbers last year around 2 levels, the double ear flap. I give him a ton of credit for that. 1-0 pitch is in there for a strike. 95 from Liam Doyle.
Caleb Lomavita, it's going to be a fascinating second season for him because I think he was somebody who got caught up in some inconsistent teaching by the previous player development group for the Washington Nationals in terms of how you work as a framer behind the plate and then like going level to level, how are you as a hitter. This is scored spy by Raniel Rodriguez.
Cruz is going to take third. That should be a pass ball. So Rodriguez surrendering 2 stolen bases in the top half of the first, and then this pass ball.
That has been his profile at every stop so far. And again, he's just a teenager still, so he's still trying to figure out how to work with premium velocity, premium stuff like Liam Doyle has. It's been the bat that's pushed him as high A so far, but the glove still has some work.
So the count 3-1. That slider misses from Liam Doyle. So again, this is the biggest start he's had pretty much in professional baseball, right? He knows he's on national television, and Liam Doyle, who's used to being in high-profile situations in the SEC with the University of Tennessee, mustering this fastball at 96 past Lomavita.
Yeah, I'm always interested in talking to college pitchers around this time of year because they are pitching in actual games a year ago, right? Like they are fully built up by this time a year ago. Now they're trying to build up for a summer. How is that different?
And Liam Doyle showcasing why he's the Cardinals' top pitching prospect. That here, back-to-back fastballs, and Caleb Lomavita down swinging.
That was a real challenge pitch. Here's 95, right down Broadway. Lomavita can't quite catch up to it. Liam Doyle absolutely needed that strikeout here for the first out of the second inning.
Sam Peterson playing right field in this ball game, batting 9th at the plate now. Runners in the corners and 1 out. As we saw from Davian Garcia, when you have starters with premium stuff, they have the ability to get out of this situation with a runner at third base and less than 2 outs. The ability to get swing and miss imperative for young Liam Doyle. Good pitch there, fought off by Peterson.
I'm sure he would love nothing more than a ground ball to Jesus Baez at shortstop, flip it to second base, J.J. Weatherholt get the out there and get the out at first. Sam Peterson is a plus runner in his own right, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to make that happen. But if I were Liam Doyle, that's what I would be trying to get here, a ground ball that we can turn 2 on.
As pitch count up to 42. A lot of pitches for a young starter, and that's the other progression of a starting pitcher. I had this conversation with David Price when his career started. He really took off with the Rays when he realized he didn't need to strike everyone out.
Yeah, I mean, pitch efficiency is a huge deal for these guys. Go at batters, but generating weak contact is not a bad thing.
Breaking ball misses from Doyle. But he knows his bread and butter is the ability to strike people out.
Yeah, I mean, that's where his value comes from, is getting in those high strikeout totals. The interesting thing here is, again, I think the Nationals have been so focused on swing decisions, they are displaying it here and not just giving Liam Doyle. But that one was maybe a little too passive from Sam Peterson.
A slider gets back-to-back punch-outs for Doyle. So 1 out away from keeping this a 1-run deficit.
At the top of the order, the shortstop, number 2.
So far, the slider looks good.
That was a good pitch. That I think he's been establishing the fastball a little bit more this second inning after being so slider heavy in the first. You could tell Peterson was thinking fastball away once he saw it, but then the slider broke perfectly into the zone for strike 3.
This is what the spring breakout's all about. Runners at the corners, 2 outs. We're only in the second inning, but to watch Liam Doyle square off against Eli Willits, this is why you tune into the spring breakout.
This is the exact matchup that we dreamed of, right? And to get the first strike here after walking Willits in the first inning, that's huge for Doyle that he can actually be ahead in this at-bat.
The 0-1. Now he's ahead 0-2 against Eli Willits.
Now I would look for him here to go to that slider again, right? Try to maybe back foot Willits, who's normally, we said at the beginning of the show, Willits has been traditionally a better hitter from the left side. So this is him hitting from the right, a little bit less good here. But as we saw in the first inning, his eye still works from the right side.
I was on the desk for the MLB draft, and I remember all the comps being thrown out on Eli Willits. And one comp that I found interesting, and I know this is pretty gaudy, okay? But if you think about it's the batting stance. Look at the batting stance of Eli Willits. He's the #1 pick in the draft for a reason. Francisco Lindor.
I mean, there's plenty to dream on there, right? Being a switch hitter, being a plus defender. It's certainly within the realm of possibility. Now, Francisco Lindor has been a better power hitter than I think Eli Willits' ceiling will be.
But if you remember, when
that
Lindor was a first-round pick,
yes,
no one thought he would ever surpass a 15-homer season.
And when you talk to Eli Willits, he'll bring it up himself. I know everybody thinks I need to get stronger. He was 17 on draft day. They think it's going to come.
Ooh, Doyle misses just barely on the outside. He wanted that call. I mean, their batting stances from the right side, Lindor and Willits, almost identical.
I like it. I do like it. And I'm sure the Nationals like it too.
And I know people at home might be raising an eyebrow to that count. He's the #1 pick in the draft for a reason. Eli Willits trying to drive and run with 2 outs, and the count goes full. You see why. I mean, this is incredible plate discipline. He just doesn't chase.
That one was a little bit easier, but the pitch before that was absolutely a big league take.
Yep. 2 very lengthy at-bats between Doyle and Willits. First ended in a walk to lead the game off. What will Willits do here with 2 outs in the second? Fighting off. Terrific 95-mile-an-hour four-seamer on his hands.
He had just seen 2 off-speed pitches away, and then to fight off that type of velocity, which 95, it's not what it used to be. I get that. But still, that's not easy either.
Liam Doyle trying to strand 2 here in the second inning. His 3-2 pitch to Eli Willits, and he walks him for the second time in this game. Very impressed with Eli Willits.
They are throwing a party right now in West Palm Beach, let me tell you, and in Washington. They are so excited the fact that he is not expanding the zone. He's not trying to show, hey, I'm the #1 overall pick. I'm going to drive this to the gaps left and right. He's going to take his walks, and that's huge for who Eli Willits can be.
And because this is a spring training game, we have a young pitcher on the mound with a lengthy inning. Once again, we have a pitching change. We're going to step aside. We'll be back to Jupiter, Florida for the spring breakout right after this. Washington Nationals up a run. We're in the top of the second. They're looking for more. Tyler Brott back in the game. And he starts Gavin Feenoff with a strike. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Brott, who clearly is warm, registered the last 2 outs in the first inning for Liam Doyle. Comes in once again. Doyle a bit erratic in this afternoon start in this breakout series. Gavin Feenoff first time up, RBI double. Looking for more. 1-1 the count. Bases loaded, 2 outs.
Going with 3 straight sweepers. Fiend homer or doubled off of a fastball in the first inning at 107 miles an hour. Wonder how much that is on Brott's mind right now. Plus, it's a right-on-right matchup, right? So the breaking ball is going to be a little bit tougher.
The 1-2 pitch. Brott doesn't have a ton of swing and miss.
No, it's the sweeper that's going to be the big thing for him. He did have 68 strikeouts and 63 in a third innings last year between high A and double A. He came in for a game earlier this spring and walked all 3 batters he faced. He can touch 96.5. He's done that, but it's the big sweeper.
Feenoff shoots this one into the gap, and it's going to get down. This might clear the bases. Gavin Feenoff off and running, driving in 4, and we're not done with the second inning. 4 RBI day. And we're in the top of the second. Gavin Feenoff putting on a show in this breakout game.
Gavin Feenoff, welcome to the Washington Nationals organization. This is what he was brought here to do, to complement Eli Willits, right? Eli Willits is going to be hit over power. I think Gavin Feenoff can be power over hit. driving that to the gap in left center. All three runners come home. Eli Willett showing off that speed. Helmet's flying off. He wants to score from first. He does so. Big lead here for the Nats in inning 2.
4-0 is the lead brought, now facing Seaver King. Struck out his first time up. Wearing number 66. Well, this is what the Breakout series is about. Eli Willits and Liam Doyle, they're going to make you tune in, right? But then while you're tuning in, you're like, who is Gavin Fiend? And you're going to pay attention to other players, right?
Yeah, Gavin Fiend is somebody we've had on in mind, I should say, in terms of adding to the top 100 at some point, seeing how that bat's going to translate coming out of last year's draft. He was the big piece of the Mackenzie Gore trade, and now you're seeing why.
Brought throwing 96 there, fouled off by King. A pair of doubles for Gavin Fiend. He's driven in every national run in this ballgame. It's 4-0 Washington. Brought's 2-1 offering, and he evens the count.
Seaver King doing much of what he did in the first at-bat in terms of fouling balls off. Then he watched strike 3. I would imagine he doesn't want to go down similarly this time. I bet he's going to keep hacking, which was the theme of 2025.
This is a chopper to third. McGee charges, throw across, and the inning comes to an end, but not before the Washington Nationals tack on 3 more. From RBI machine Gavin Fiend, 4-0 Nats in Jupiter. It's a celebration of the top prospects in baseball. This is our breakout series, Spring Breakout on MLB Network. The Nationals are up 4-0. Greg Amsinger, Sam Dykstra alongside in Jupiter, Florida. The Nats taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. New pitcher is Miguel Cime Jr., a 6'4", 235-pound, 18-year-old.
18-year-old, 4th-round pick last year out of New York City. You're going to see some elite velocity here. It was 87 miles an hour that first pitch, but he's been up to 102 this spring.
I mean, that is a physical specimen. This is a base hit right back up the middle, so a good start. 99 turned around, and the St. Louis Cardinals off and running here in the bottom of the second.
I bet that was the scouting report for Jesus Baez in that bat. Like, just sit on the heater as much as you can. Gets a first pitch breaking ball, spits on it. When you see the heater light up, a nice ground ball up the middle for an opening single, and puts a little bit of pressure here on Miguel Cime Jr., who's in his first spring training.
Cime was flamethrower. Looks like he's got a big league body right now. Wearing number 55 on the mound after Jesus Baez singles to start the bottom of the second. Cade McGee digging in. Baez has actually turned a lot of heads this spring.
Yeah, he's somebody the Cardinals picked up from the Mets at last year's trade deadline. And he had shown better results before the trade. He's still kind of like an interesting one to try to figure out. The tools are there. There's some power. He's got a really good arm. He's shown it a little bit at shortstop already today. I think they like the raw materials with Jesus Baez.
Cade McGee takes upstairs. A 9th rounder in 2024 out of Texas Tech. Cade McGee, 23 years young. Ahead in the count, 2 balls, no strikes. I mean, this is a feather in the cap for Cime to get a chance to pitch in the second inning of this game.
And it shows you how much the Nats believe in him and want to showcase him and show him off. And I had heard great things that, you know, he had bought into the velo program. He had already thrown hard coming out of the draft. Another 99-mile-an-hour fastball there. Not where he wanted to locate it, though. He's working himself into some trouble here with the first 2 batters reaching.
So the Cardinals have something brewing, down by 4. McGee with a walk. So here comes Ryan Mitchell, batting 9th for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Ryan Mitchell, a 2nd-round pick, 55th overall last year. Good running ability. Some people thought he was one of the best prep bats in the draft. His stance can be a little bit spring-loaded, so he can really turn on pitches. This will be interesting to see how he can do against triple-digit heat now that Miguel Cime Jr. is up to 100 miles an hour.
He was a 2nd-round pick last year out of Houston High School in Tennessee. And Sime misses upstairs. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ryan Mitchell, just 19 years old. 6'2", 185 pounds. Playing left field in this ball game. He swings through that offering. 101 miles an hour.
You don't see that much in the Tennessee high school ranks, do you? 101. The interesting thing for me with Mitchell is that the Cardinals plan to play him between shortstop and the outfield when he opens up at single A this year.
Well, that is interesting.
They're going to flip him between the two. I've heard it's going to be a lot of shortstop and a lot of center field. They've put him on a throwing program to make sure that his arm's going to work from both spots, but they're putting him in left today, even exposing him to that position, which is not easy. Center field, you can at least see everything, you can read everything. Getting put in a corner, as we saw with Max Clark earlier this spring, it's not as easy as just shoving him over there.
And that is simply overmatched. 101 miles an hour. And it's almost scary to think what Sime's fastball could be as he ages. He's only 18 years old.
Yeah, and it's going to take a lot of arm care to make sure that he stays healthy, right, when he's already throwing 100, 101 at 18 years old. But that's the bread and butter, right? Explosive fastball on the outside corner to set down Mitchell.
So back to the top of the order. Here is Ty Pete with 1 out, 2 aboard in the bottom of the second. I'm looking forward to welcoming Hein Bloom into our booth. We'll try to do that for the 3rd inning. The president of baseball operations for the St. Louis Cardinals, who acquired 13 prospects in this offseason. This ground ball to second. And this ball is not able to be handled by Willits to short. It's going to lead to a run. The Cardinals are on the board.
A little bit of a difficult play there for Seaver King, who is naturally a shortstop. Throwing it to Eli Willits, his own shortstop, at second base. See it here, Ty Pete. He's going to push up the first base line. So if you're going to turn 2, you have to get rid of it quick. He does, but the throw is off the base, and Willits can't find his footing to try for home. Cards get on the board. It's 4-1 now.
So J.J. Weatherholt at the plate. He swung at the first pitch he saw for a base hit. And my, oh my, Sime. Pitch clock violation on the young right-hander. So 1 ball and no strikes.
It's another teachable moment for an 18-year-old in his first spring training.
Throwing hard, misses upstairs, triple digits. Boy, J.J. Weatherholt, just body language. I'm a big body language. Dan Plesac taught me body language, okay? Working with him all these years, he just looks like a big leaguer, J.J. Weatherholt.
He is not looking scared up there against 100 miles an hour. We can say that much. And this is where that pitch clock violation really hurts Sime, because he started it down 1-0 to the guy who looks like a bona fide major leaguer.
It is a spring breakout. Do you give him the green light on 3-0?
I wouldn't.
He takes a strike.
I just think with Sime right now, trying to show off the velocity, he might be trying to do a little bit too much. Let him dig his own hole.
Hitters count for J.J. Weatherholt in the mix to be the opening day second baseman for the St. Louis Cardinals. Terrific pitch from Sime, 91-mile-an-hour cutter. Man, it's hard to believe that young man is 18 years old.
And like you said, it's fun to imagine what he can do when he gets to 26, 27.
3-2 pitch, and he blows away J.J. Weatherholt. Wow, 101 miles an hour.
They're going to be showing that pitch a lot around the locker rooms of West Palm Beach. That's just a challenge one. Here it is. And the fact that the helmet fell off of J.J. Weatherholt, too. That's a dream matchup for spring breakout. Power versus power, really good talent versus really good talent. Pitcher wins that battle.
Wow. Joshua Baez digging in. Now, don't throw it over the plate. I think he wants to connect with 101 miles an hour.
Well, you want to talk about power versus power. This is it. And after Joshua Baez got hit in his first plate appearance, I'm sure he would love to swing and show what he's capable of here.
He had a terrific spring. He was already told he was going to start the year in the minors. Some thought he was in the mix to be potentially challenging Jordan Walker for the opening day right field spot for the St. Louis Cardinals.
I think that's an easy conversation to have, just given that Joshua Baez is a best fit in right field with really good arm strength. He's capable of playing all three. He can stand in center field. He's got some okay speed there. And Jordan Walker obviously struggling this spring. But for me, a year ago we were talking about Joshua Baez striking out too much. I want him exposed to AAA.
2-0 pitch, and this is sent to center field. Will end the inning. Sime was able to strike out J.J. Weatherholt on 100 miles an hour. But the Cardinals are on the board. 4-1 the score. Nats with the lead. An opportunity for young prospects to impress on national television. It's the spring breakout. Nationals up 4-1 over the St. Louis Cardinals. Greg Amsinger, Sam Dykstra alongside here at Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium. In moments, we'll be joined in the booth by Chaim Bloom, the president of baseball operations for the St. Louis Cardinals. Michael Watson, young left-hander, is starting this third inning. Liam Doyle had a chance to pitch parts of the first 2 innings. Was a bit erratic, threw over 50 pitches. We'll see if we see him again. Again, these are spring training rules, so pitchers can re-enter games after they've been removed. Chaim is sitting between us now. Chaim, good to see you, man. Thanks for taking the time.
Nice to be here.
So what did you think of Liam Doyle's performance so far this afternoon?
Well, it was a little erratic. It's not ideal when you don't finish any of the innings, but he showed, the stuff that is why we took him where we did. This guy has a chance to pitch at the top of the rotation, real power stuff. Excited that we have him in the organization.
When you watch him pitch, it's obviously not a conventional approach, correct? I mean, it is high energy, full throttle. You wouldn't draft him that high if you thought maybe he's going to be a reliever.
Yeah, I mean, look, that possibility exists for everybody, and you can certainly see him with that intensity, that mindset, pitching at the end of a game, of course. But when we looked at him, everything's there for us to build a starter out of someone like this. I think that's part of what the pro ball journey is about. Going through the minor leagues, kind of taking your lumps, learning your craft a little bit more. His stuff is so good. He has an elite fastball. The split's really good. He was just able to outstuff college baseball, and there's probably a lot of levels of pro ball he could outstuff too. But of course, to have that role in the big leagues, you got to learn how to pitch, and that's part of the journey.
Yeah, and he threw a lot of sliders today. How much of that do you feel like was him trying to figure out that pitch in what is still a spring training environment?
Yeah, and that's something we're working on with him, and we saw the possibility to improve that pitch as he goes through the minor league. So it's a work in progress to try to refine that to where it can be a real out pitch for him. So happy that he's willing to throw it even as he's learning some new things with it.
Baez tracks it down to right field for the second out. Tell us a little bit about Joshua Baez and your decision to have him open up in the minor leagues. He was turning heads in spring.
He was. He homered in 3 straight games, and then we sent him out. It was funny also because we sent Blaze Jordan out the following day. I said to Ollie, guys are going to stop hitting the ball over the fence because every time they do, they get sent to the minor leagues. But some of that's just a timing thing. Actually, what's funny is we actually told Josh before the game that he was going down that day. So he made us look bad by hitting another homer. This is pretty remarkable. You don't see what happened last year where, this guy was a high pick, but really had not had very much success to that point in the minor leagues. And you don't usually see people go from where he was to have that sort of a year, pull back the swing and miss as much as he did, improve the approach. There's a lot of really good work, certainly by Josh, but also by a lot of our staff to come up with a plan to help get him to a position where he could get on plane more easily with pitches, where he had a swing and an approach that was more suited to how his body moves, and he had this amazing year. It's pretty simple for me. You want to be able to consolidate those gains. He did all that at AA, had a remarkable year. There is a level between the one that he played at and the big leagues.
Is there really?
And
AAA matters?
AAA does matter, I believe. I'm actually a big proponent of it because of the type of player that you see at that level. It's really the only level in the minor leagues where you can see guys who have beaten that level and still have to come back to it. And for him to knock down that level, to show us that he's kept all those gains from last year and that he is better than that level, we're so excited about his future. We just want to make sure we don't skip steps.
Well, he looks smooth in right field. He puts that one away. You're going to hang out for another half inning. You feel with that?
Absolutely.
We're with Chaim Bloom, president of baseball operations of the St. Louis Cardinals. 4-1, Nats with the lead. We're back to Jupiter right after this. It's the Washington Nationals top prospect squaring off against the prospects of the St. Louis Cardinals. It's the MLB Spring Breakout Series, and we're coming to you from Jupiter, Florida. Greg Amsinger, Sam Dykstra of MLB Pipeline, and we're pleased to be joined by Chaim Bloom, President of Baseball Operations for the St. Louis Cardinals, who acquired, correct me if I'm wrong, 13 prospects in one offseason.
That sounds about right.
That's abnormal.
When I ran out of fingers, I stopped counting, but that sounds about right.
When you look at how you gave a facelift to your farm system, I mean, obviously you drafted J.J. Weatherholt and Liam Doyle, but my goodness, Jurrangelo St. is an exciting player to talk about, among others. How would you describe your farm system right now?
Well, we're excited about a lot of these guys. I mean, you never want to be content with the talent you have, and you always want to work as much as you can to try to improve everybody too.
Nice play at third base.
So there's not going to be a point where that we get to where we say, okay, we're good. We feel good enough about it. The goal is to help every single one of these players reach their ceiling, whatever that might be. And so whether you're first, you're 30th, for us, we're going to take the same approach, and we're always going to act like we're 30th and try to get everybody better.
Jurrangelo St. is not going to appear in this game. He's a switch pitcher. As you see, Rodriguez, the catcher, at the plate now for the St. Louis Cardinals. Will we see Jurrangelo St. continue to be a switch pitcher?
It's interesting. Right now, to this point in spring, we've had him facing hitters only as a right-hander, but he is continuing to maintain both sides.
Rodriguez, I think, interrupted you with a nice fly ball to left. Sorry, I thought that could have got over the wall.
No, he just missed that one, but he's got some real pop. But we're continuing to keep both sides active just because that's how he's trained, and it's something that's important to him. And I mean, it's such a unique ability to have that I think we got to take a little humility into this, that we don't know everything about how best to develop someone who can do the things he does. But the top end from the right side is such that we want to make sure that we're focusing on that right now when he faces hitters, and we'll just see how it unfolds. He's been great to have in camp, and it's been great for our staff to learn him, already see some ways that we might be able to move that arsenal forward, and hopefully he goes out and has a great season.
And when you're trading established major leaguers like you did so often this offseason, you're getting prospects back. I know Jurrangelo St. is a type that you can't go out and get very easily. But are there types you're looking to bring in, like certain fastball shapes or certain breaking balls or certain hit tools?
That's certainly a piece of the puzzle. It's interesting. You look at a lot of what we acquired. Obviously, a lot of the the frontliners in some of these deals were pitching, and certainly, we want to make sure we're flooding our system with pitching. But that's not to say that we necessarily prefer that over position players. We just want talent. And if there's something in there that we feel that we have a plan for, that we can improve a player, that we have pathways to improve, obviously fastball shape has something to do with that. Both the present arsenal and the potential in the arsenal, how the body moves, what potential there is to help bring more out of an athlete by the way the body moves. All those things matter, and they all go into our evaluation of these guys when we're considering.
Blaze Jordan with a single to right field gives us a bit more time with Chaim Bloom to ask him this question. Is J.J. Weatherholt going to be the opening day second baseman for the St. Louis Cardinals?
Well, we've not made any decisions yet on that front, but he is certainly having a very nice camp. He's done everything you'd want to see him do, and the way he's carried himself has been really nice. Not a surprise, getting to know him over the past year plus, but you still, it's a bit of a different spotlight on him this year, and you want to see how someone like that comes in and handles himself in camp, and he's been very impressive.
Jesus Baez at the plate now for the St. Louis Cardinals. Does it take parts of your brain to put aside the fact that there's draft pick compensation if he finishes in the top 3, if he breaks camp with a big league club?
It was interesting when that came out in the CBA, when that was added. I thought it was going to be really interesting to see just how much it moved the needle for teams. And look, there are some real incentives and actually some disincentives on the other side to, have a guy down, and then if he does win the award, he goes back and picks up that full year. But, at the same time, you still just want to make the right baseball decision. You try to cheat the game and start doing things, getting too cute. Usually you pay for it in the end. So just focus on the right baseball moves.
All right, Chaim, we appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
You bet.
Chaim Bloom, President Baseball Ops for the St. Louis Cardinals through 3. Cards down by 3. Washington Nationals up by 3 here in Jupiter, Florida, the spring breakout series against the St. Louis Cardinals. There's a new pitcher, he's a former second-round pick out of University of Tennessee, Tanner Franklin. And when I showed up here today, Sam Dykstra, there were a lot of people in this organization buzzing about this young right-hander.
They're really excited about Tanner Franklin. He was a member of the bullpen for the Volunteers. It's funny, we're going from University of Tennessee pitcher with a break in between to another University of Tennessee pitcher. But the Cardinals feel like if he was in another college program, he would have been potentially like a Saturday starter, right? The stuff was really there. He had one of the best fastballs in all of college baseball, really good at in-zone whiff and overall whiff. 94 to 98 miles an hour. He's starting out here at 96, but it gets really, really good ride to drive those empty swings.
Philip Glasser's at the plate. This chopper is going to be extra bases down the line. It's his second hit. I like the way Philip Glasser looks at the plate. Unique batting stance, looks hitterish.
He is hitterish. He's got a career average above 300. He could be one of those guys who's just a pest, right? Fighting off that pitch, just sneaking it inside the bag for a double. It's not going to light up exit velocity boards, but a double is a double. Counts the same in the box score.
Isn't that amazing that you say that? Because I just got done covering the World Baseball Classic, and Venezuela defeated Team USA, and I was looking at the lineups. And Aaron Judge, all the exit velo and the great powers, batting third for Team USA. Luis Arraez is batting third for Team Venezuela.
Yeah, very contrasting
but
styles
in terms of winning baseball games, it can be done to make contact, and that down the line, and that's an old Rod Carew double right there.
It can. I would still say, like Raniel Rodriguez hit a 109.3 mile per hour out. I'd still take him as the hitter over Philip Glasser, but Glasser's going to dink and dunk his way. He's already done it at high A and double A. He could find a role for the Nationals somehow if he continues to develop this hit tool and find the open spots on the field.
Caleb Lomavita, the catcher for the Washington Nationals, in the hole. No balls, 2 strikes. Tanner Franklin on the mound for the St. Louis Cardinals, trying to put him away. The secondary pitches for these young pitchers, you can see that those are the moments where they can get a little sloppy.
And I think with the Cardinals, that's what excites them most about Tanner Franklin. Yes, the fastball is there and it's always going to be there, but they really think they can work with him and morph into some different pitch shapes that are going to be exciting. But sometimes when you get 97 with ride going up and in against a righty, that's all you need to get straight through.
Perfectly located, up and in. That's the first strikeout for Franklin. Here's Sam Peterson batting 9th for the Washington Nationals. We're in the top of the 4th. It was fun hanging out with Chaim Bloom. It was a quick inning, but I feel like we learned a lot.
We covered a lot of things there, yeah. I was prepared for him to announce here on this broadcast that J.J. Weatherholt was the opening day second.
You know,
we couldn't quite get him.
I thought he might do that just because he likes us so much, Sam. It's in there for a strike. Cutter from Franklin. When you look at the Cardinals starting rotation at the big league level, a lot of upside pitchers, which I think they're excited about. The Washington Nationals, I don't know if they have as much upside. This is up the middle off Franklin's leg. He'll turn and fire to first for the out.
A little bit of PFP action there here in spring training. Still good kick save by Tanner Franklin and staying with it. With the speedy Sam Peterson sprinting up the first base line.
The shortstop number 2, Eli.
I said it was a kick save. It was more of a skip save.
Yeah.
Kind of just threw his foot at it and got it. But now Franklin going up against Willits, who for the first time today gets to bat from the left side, which is his, I don't want to say preferred side, but his better side so far in his career.
Well, I've been impressed watching his first 2 at-bats. Multiple pitches, both full counts, drew 2 walks, 2 runs scored, a stolen base. He ran on the first pitch after he reached first in the top first of this game. And here he is taking 97 upstairs. Eli Willits, last year's #1 overall pick. He was 17 years old when he was drafted first. He swings to this pitch from Franklin.
Took off a little bit there at 91 miles an hour. So if you're sitting there at 96, 97, 91, that's enough of a difference to get an empty swing from Eli Willits.
Tanner Franklin's 1-1. And you see why the Cardinals brass is so excited. He can miss bats.
He can, and he's just mixing speeds exceptionally well right now. He's going 91 back to 97.5 for that strikeout. So 97, 91, 97. Not easy to do, even in today's game when velo is up across the board.
All right, let's see Eli Willett's two-strike approach. Just misses off the inside part of the plate.
Again, it's just a big league take. A lot of guys are trying to fight that off. Maybe he saw it as a ball the whole way. Just missing. Roniel Rodriguez trying to frame it best he can, but it's still 2-2.
Franklin blowing away Eli Willits 100 miles an hour. I would call that a breakout.
I think that's a breakout.
Tanner Franklin, my goodness. Bottom four coming up. Home half of the fourth coming up for the St. Louis Cardinals in Jupiter, Florida. Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium, the site of the Spring Breakout Series game. Take a look at the top 10 prospects for the Washington Nationals. We've seen a lot of Eli Willits in this ball game. Bottom of your screen is Landon Harmon. He's a 6'5", 190-pound right-hander. He's on the mound right now. In the booth with Sam Dykstra. My name's Greg Amsinger. Sam, what do you make of this young right-hander?
Yeah, Landon Harmon stands 6'5". It's a fastball that sat 93 to 96 as an amateur. He was somebody who could run that heater up to 99. So obviously the Nationals think there's more velocity to maybe come there. First pitch, 96 miles an hour.
Ronnie Cruz will handle this off the bat of Cade McGee. One pitch, one out for Landon Harmon, a third-round pick, last year's draft out of East Union High School in Mississippi.
Signed for $2.5 million. Only Eli Willits signed for more in Washington's 2025 draft class.
Only 19 years old. We've seen a lot of teenagers in this spring breakout game.
Yeah. The Nationals are willing to throw the teens out to the wolves here against this deep Cardinals lineup.
Here's Ryan Mitchell batting ninth. That's what you call a projectable body right there.
I was
right?
just thinking the same thing. I mean, that's why teams draft really big 6'5" arms that can already touch that.
Ronnie Cruz looks comfortable at third base. He's made some nice plays in this game.
He is the guy who, if you ask the Nationals who has stood out to you among prospects, his name gets brought up the most. I think it's because they think he gets lost in the shuffle of all the other infielders that they brought in. Gavin Feen, Eli Willits, Devin Fitzgerald. He's somebody who hasn't seen above complex ball just yet, but they really like his defense at shortstop. They like his speed. They like his power potential. He just has to improve those swing decisions that are such a big emphasis in Washington camp right now. I'm fascinated to see where they put him to start the year. Does he remain at the complex? But that could be a really, really good get from the Cubs in last year's Michael Soroka trade.
You talk about mechanics that just your eyes gravitate towards. This man, young man, Landon Harmon. Leg kick, the way he turns his body down the mound. I mean, that's what you want to see.
I think the comp that was used on draft day was Travis Sikora, who's already in this organization. Now, it's going to be a different development group that uses Harmon over Sikora. Sikora's had Tommy John surgery last year. It's highly unlikely that we're going to see him in 2026. But you take those big projectable righties, one of those guys just needs to click, and Harmon's got a pretty good shot at that right now between that fastball and the slider that he's shown us a little bit here.
The top two pitching prospects in the Washington National system, Travis Sikora, you just mentioned out with Tommy John. Harlan Susana, he's also injured at the moment. We're not going to see him in this game, so it's fun to at least see one of their top 10 prospects in Landon Harmon.
And it's interesting, we get two different versions of them, right? Like Miguel Cime Jr. throws hard like Harlan Susana, but it is a few years behind him. Landon Harmon has a little bit of Travis Sikora to him, but is a few years behind him. It's almost like we're getting different stages of the different pitch types, even though the two best here are injured.
A few very impressive pitchers in this game so far. Ty Pete draws a walk. Actually, no, he punches out. Yeah, Harmon gets the punch out. They're going to challenge this. The ABS challenge, and it was indeed a strike. Ty Pete took off his gear thinking, I'm going to first base. Instead, you're going to the dugout. 4-1, the score remains Nats with the lead. And we're back to the action here in Jupiter, Florida. Tanner Franklin's going to start off with the ball to a guy that's been red hot so far this afternoon, Gavin Feen, the 12th overall pick in last year's draft. He's only 19 years old, as you see Franklin's line. Feen 2 for 2, a pair of doubles and 4 RBIs in this ball game so far.
He has 2 of the 4 hardest hit balls in this game, one at 107.1 miles per hour, the other at 99.6. So those aren't accidental doubles by any means.
Franklin catches the corner with 94. Hard to imagine the Washington Nationals have 2 of the top 12 players in last year's draft. Feen grounds this one to Baez up the middle for the first out. But this is part of a rebuild. You trade away pieces like Mackenzie Gore, and you expect players of that caliber to come back.
You do, and I think when that trade went down, a lot of people were expecting 1 or maybe 2 top 100 prospects to come back, and the discussion was that the Nationals went for quantity over quality. They got 5 prospects back, all of which feature in their top 30 now on MLB Pipeline. But that being said, I think Gavin Feen has a ceiling of a top 100 guy, especially if he keeps hitting like this into April and May.
Seaver King sends this one down the line. Out of play. And that's the next part of the evolution of so many of their prospects. The Washington Nationals really wanted great athletes, but you have a lot of shortstops. Seaver King is a shortstop learning a new position. Cruz, a shortstop learning third base. You can see the writing on the wall. It's a game of musical chairs. Eli Willits is a financial investment with the #1 overall selection. He's the guy at short. He's the shortstop of the future. If these guys want to make it to the next level, they're going to have to find a new home.
Yeah, and if Seaver King, for example, is going to try to push for Washington this year, which isn't within the realm of possibility, right? He ended last year at AA. C.J. Abrams is still there at shortstop in the major leagues. So you have to learn other positions. And I think that's going to just happen a lot here because of the depth that they've built at arguably the premium position on the field. It's enviable depth. And now what happens with these guys when they're playing multiple positions a week? It should be a fun challenge for the Nats.
Tanner Franklin blowing 92 by Seaver. Seaver King wearing number 66. Former Wake Forest standout. 1 out, top of the 5th. The 2-2 pitch. That's a base hit. King up the middle. And he reaches, turns around 99 from Franklin.
Not easy to do by any means there for Seaver King. I think one of the reasons why he used to be so swing happy is because he has really good bat to ball skills. But once you go up against better pitching, obviously at the AA level, the upper minors, and a little bit at the Arizona Fall League last year, they're going to be able to get you to swing and miss when you do chase, or they're going to get you to have some soft contact. But they're very much looking like the guy who played alongside Nick Kurtz at Wake Forest and did exceptionally well there.
Andrew Pinckney, the cleanup hitter for the Washington Nationals, a check swing foul ball. Let's see if we watch Seaver King attempt to run. He stole 30 bags last year in the minor leagues. Pinckney, the cleanup hitter for the Nats in this spring breakout. 4-1 the score here in the top of the 5th. The Nationals stole 2 bases in the top of the 1st. 1 runner was thrown out, so 3 stolen base attempts. King is bouncing off first. And we have a pitch clock violation. I don't know what you think about it, but Sam, I think the pitch clock has taken baseball to a wonderful new place.
The amount of people who still bring up the pitch clock to me, who are non-baseball people, who are just going to, I live in New York City, who are going to a Mets game or a Yankees game, and they're like, this is moving. Like, this is really fun. This is really energetic. All these years later, I mean, I've been covering the minor leagues for a long time now. Pitch clock feels like old hat to me, but it's still nice to see it embraced and see the effect it's had at the top level and how much, you know, more interest it's getting from just your average fan.
Tanner Franklin, a cue shot base hit to right. Pinckney comes through, second time he's reached in this ball game. So 2 aboard with 1 out in the top of the 5th.
That's a nice piece of hitting there by Andrew Pinckney, who the biggest question, we said it earlier, is the overall hit tool. Is he somebody who can cut down on the swing and miss and try to force his way into the Washington outfield after playing last year at AAA? Sits back on that one really nicely, dunks it in front of Joshua Baez in right field. You saw Seaver King take a wide turn. Think about pushing it. That would have been a fun speed versus arm battle with Joshua Baez's arm and right.
Yohandy Morales, the first baseman, takes a ball from Tanner Franklin. If you're a Cardinal fan, you do kind of want to see how Franklin pitches out of this with runners aboard. You want to see a bit of adversity in a situation like this.
Absolutely. I think that's a big thing about what spring training is for, right? Is to get all these things out of the way now, so by the time games start and games matter, you are prepared for it. You've been in that situation before. Listen, he's been pitching out of the bullpen before, right? He's not somebody who's going to go 4 or 5 innings as he did in college, or, you know, he's going to do that more in the pros. That's going to be more situations that are like this one, first and second with 1 out. Get used to it now. And in this environment, so when you're at Peoria or you're at Springfield, it's a little bit easier to get out of it. You can remember what worked.
Both runners were on the move on that pitch. It was fouled back by Morales. All 4 runs in this ball game driven in by Gavin Feen. Morales looking for an RBI knock with 1 out here in the 5th. Tanner Franklin showing that plus fastball. Liam Doyle started this game, the Cardinals' top pitching prospect. And I don't want to say it was a disappointing performance, but he had a hard time finding the plate.
We call that a teachable moment, right? That was something that you're going to be looking at tape and try to understand why it happened. So, again, you're fixing it for April. But, again, Tanner Franklin blowing 97 there by Yohandy Morales and his big-time power and his big frame. That was just a challenge pitch, and Morales was not up to the challenge.
So Ronnie Cruz, third baseman for the Nationals, looking for a 2-out knock. Tanner Franklin trying to strand a pair. He misses inside.
And this is one of those matchups that I love for spring breakout because, as we said earlier, Ronnie Cruz has not played above the complex league yet. Tanner Franklin's pitched in the SEC. It's going to be a while until these two are crossing paths otherwise, but we get it here today.
Once the spring breakout schedule comes out, everyone circles the dream matchups, right?
Right.
It all started with Paul Skeens and Jackson Holliday.
We still talk about that one. That was exactly how you wanted it to go. You could see Paul Skeens strutting off the mound in that game. You know how much he cared about that strikeout. All of these guys care about going up against guys they've read about or heard about or previously seen.
This is sent to right field. Baez trying to track it down, and he will. Nice play from Joshua Baez, and Tanner Franklin strands 2. We're going to the home half of the 5th, and the Nats are still up by 3. It's the 2026 Spring Breakout Series. The Nationals are up 4-1. Bottom of the 5th, J.J. Weatherholt facing a brand new pitcher, Yoel Tejada, a 6'8" right-hander.
6'8". I mean, it's interesting going from Landon Harmon to this guy. It's all raw tools with Yoel Tejada. They feel like he's somebody who can keep adding velocity. He's done that already this spring. He's sitting more comfortably in the mid-90s, starting out at 97 miles an hour here in this one, showing off that velocity. But even the slider is a plus pitch for him.
14th rounder in 2024. He started off his college career at the University of Florida, then transferred to Florida State. Former Gator and Seminole. Facing J.J. Weatherholt, the #1 prospect in the Cardinals farm system. Nice off-speed pitch.
There's that splitter from Tejada, which acted more like an average pitch last year, but if you're getting J.J. Weatherholt to swing and miss through it, that might be much better than average.
Well, I asked Chaim Bloom, the president of baseball operations of the Cardinals, here in the booth, will J.J. Weatherholt be the opening day starting second baseman? What did you think of his answer?
I think he was saying what he had to say. I think we all know basically where that's going, right? It's trending towards J.J. Weatherholt being the opening day second baseman. We know he has the confidence to do it. We know that partnership between him and Mason Wynn can be really special, and that's the J.J. Weatherholt we've seen since he was drafted. You know, he may have had that whiff on the splitter earlier, but he catches up to 95 there, drives it right back up the middle for his second hit of the day.
He's an impressive player. This is the whole reason the spring breakout is so fun. To get a chance to watch this young guy play before potentially he's the rookie in an opening day big league lineup.
And it's a good reminder, too, because he's been around so many of these major leaguers. that you might be comparing him to, veteran types. And really, he's still a prospect. He's somebody with no major league experience, but you put him into this game, he's got 2 hits already. It's working for him. That's when you compare him to his peers, this is why he is the number 5 overall prospect in baseball, because the hit tool is so strong.
You think that the seed on the inside.
Tejeda misses with 96. He's facing Joshua Baez. He's 22 years old, 6'3" right-handed bat. Last year, 20 home runs, 54 stolen bases. And this ball is sent to left. Baez goes deep. A 2-run shot from Joshua Baez, and the Birds are just down 1.
That is the Joshua Baez that we saw across minor league baseball in 2025. What an absolute blast. The power has always been there in his profile. Get this exit velocity, 112.7 miles an hour off the bat. It was every bit of that, and he knew it. I love a little bit of the tongue waggle there too. Add a little flair, but that's loud exit velocity. That's exactly who Joshua Baez could be moving forward for the Cardinals. Somebody we expect to debut in 2026.
Bernal's going to pop this one up. Very windy here in Jupiter, Florida. Cruz is going to put it away for the first out in the bottom of the 5th. That pitch was on the inner 3rd, and we had just talked to Chaim Bloom about the fact that all this guy's been doing this spring is hitting homers.
Hitting homers, and it's crazy to think about. In 2024, that guy was striking out in 35.5% of his plate appearances. That is you can't do that. That is not something that's going to work at any level. Last year, his strikeout rate was 20.6. He cut it by 15 points. That doesn't happen. Usually it grows and grows and grows the higher you go up. He made exceptional adjustments, and one of the biggest ones was calming down some of the noise in his swing, being more streamlined to the ball, because when he puts the barrel on it, it goes a long way, as we just saw.
Rodriguez at the plate now takes a strike. So for fans in St. Louis who are watching this, Baez, they know he can run. Is he only a corner outfielder? Could he play center field?
He could play center field more in a pinch. I think he's just such the classic right field profile with that arm. It's closer to average speed for me. I've timed out his home to first times. I know the 54 steals certainly pop out. He's a guy who knows how to pick his spots in steal bags. I think he's probably going to be closer to a 20 steal guy in the majors because major league batteries are so much better. I think you just stick him in right, let him play exceptionally well there, given the bat profile, given the arm profile.
So what you're saying is Jordan Walker needs to look over his shoulder.
A little bit. It kind of feels like that. Yeah, I understand a lot of St. Louis fans were maybe asking for Joshua Baez coming out of spring. I think Chaim Bloom gave a perfect answer to that, in that there is a level between AA and the majors. And Joshua Baez, who again, this time last year was not on the Cardinals top 30. There was nobody demanding him be on there, given the strikeout issues. Let him dominate Memphis before you send him up to St. Louis.
Tejada punches out Rodriguez for the second out here in the bottom of the 5th. There's always a rush with prospects, and you know that, Sam. You cover this for a living. Fan bases want to see the new hot prospect get to the big leagues as fast as possible.
Well, especially with organizations like St. Louis, right, where we know the opportunities are going to be there. And you look at the hot young thing at AA and think like, well, he could translate that immediately. How many guys have we seen struggle? I always go back to the time a few years ago, Bobby Witt Jr. struggled out of the gate as a rookie. It took him some time to adjust.
Down to a knee goes Blaze Jordan. He was trying to duplicate what Joshua Baez did a couple batters ago. Looking for his second hit of this ball game. Well, in hindsight, to what you're saying, I'm sure the St. Louis Cardinals wish they gave Jordan Walker more time in the minor leagues.
That's what it kind of feels like, right? Like, allow him a little bit more time to elevate. Nice job by Blaze Jordan there, driving it down the line on the left. He's going to end up with a double.
Going to rattle around in the corner. Stand-up double for Jordan, his second hit of this ball game. Blaze Jordan with a chance to break out in front of a national audience.
Blaze Jordan, the number 27 prospect in the Cardinals system, was acquired last year from the Red Sox in the deal at the deadline for Steven Matz. Really struggled in Memphis after the trade, only batted .198 with a .366 slugging percentage. He had a low batting average on balls in play that may have downplayed some of it. He showed some real power before that trade. I think the Cardinals would love for him to get back to the AA Portland version that he showed in 2025.
Pitch number 19 from Tejada, misses to Baez. Jesus Baez last year hit 14 home runs. Slick fielding shortstop for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Jesus Baez is a guy who loves to sling it. If you ever watch him throw around the infield, he likes to do a little bit of that cowboy sling going to first base. Question is, can he be consistent enough offensively to earn the shortstop position?
They're going to try to get Jordan taking a nap at second. He's in there safely. Last year he hit under 250 in the minor leagues, Jesus Baez. And you start looking around if you're a young player, especially a shortstop. Mason Wynn going to be around for a while. Gold Glover at short. Loma Vida trying to pick Jordan off at second. That was an interesting take there. Baez almost looked like he stepped out.
I don't know if he was playing with Tejeda's mind or if he really thought he was calling timeout. Either way, it kind of worked. I thought maybe the breaking ball got over the heart of the plate. Not quite enough. Jesus Baez walks up to first.
It almost confused the home plate umpire. I thought this was a strike. Look at that.
That looked okay to me. Maybe some mind games there from Jesus Baez here in spring breakout.
Well, it draws the walk. Cade McGee, the third baseman of the Cardinals, is due up next. A meeting on the mound with Tejada. It's been a long inning. 22 pitches thrown so far. And you see the height, 6'8". In this inning, Joshua Baez, a 2-run shot, and the home run phenom so far this spring for the St. Louis Cardinals continues his red-hot hitting. Cardinals looking for more. 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th, trying to tie or take the lead. 4-3 Nationals. Here's Cade McGee.
Now, this is an interesting spotlight for Cade McGee. He's the only member of the starting 9 for St. Louis who's not in the MLB pipeline top 30. He was a 9th-round pick out of Texas Tech in 2024. Just hit .214 last year, but actually had really good in-zone contact rates, little chase. He just needs to get better exit velocities. It sounds like that's something that he's been working on in the backfields, trying to make, better opportunities to hit the barrel squarely. We'll see if he can do it here against Tejada, who has given up some loud contact, obviously, with that Joshua Baez bomb.
And Tejeda's fastball has been fluctuating so far in this inning. Looking for the 3rd out in the 5th. The 1-1 pitch to Cade McGee. Well located. I'm a big fan of tall pitchers. What say you, Sam Dykstra?
Tall pitchers, the thing about them is that they have much more to work with mechanically, right? There's much more that can break down. It is very difficult. You look at like Tyler Glasnow, like he has to keep his mechanics as simple as possible because there's just so much going on there. Jacob Mizorowski, prospect not that long ago, when we were trying to figure out who he could be moving forward, and I think the Brewers are still trying to figure that out, although obviously he looked pretty good as a starter at times last year, but he's all elbows and knees. Tejeda's not that, right? He's not quite what Mizorowski was, but because he has that extension, he's getting on top of batters so much easier, and when he is throwing 94 to 96 like he can this spring, that plays like 96 to 98 instead.
Right. I think people look at tall pitchers. They need to recognize, because of the extension, don't get lost in the radar gun. They have perceived velocity. It feels like it's on you even more than it is.
You're shortening up that decision window, right? That's essentially what you're doing by getting so much closer to the plate.
Takes a little off, and he gets the punch out of Cade McGee. Nice off-speed pitch from Tejada. But in this inning, the Cardinals get 2 back. Joshua Baez stays red hot. Takes that pitch on the inner 3rd and sends it over the left field wall. The Nats lead down to just 1 here in Jupiter. It's the spring breakout. The Nationals prospects against the young stars for the St. Louis Cardinals. 4-3 the score as the Washington Nationals kick off the 6th inning here in Jupiter, Florida. Greg Amsinger and Sam Dykstra of MLB Pipeline alongside. Back to work is Tanner Franklin. So far, I've been impressed. What about you?
I have been too. I mean, the velocity's been there. The breaking pitches have been there.
And for the first time in this game, Glasser is retired. Franklin induces some weak contact. 1 up, 1 down for the young right-hander.
It's interesting because the first time those two faced each other, Glasser had a double. It was 85 exit velocity and -19 launch angle. He doesn't care. Like, listen, he's 2 for 3 in this game so far. But I think that was a little bit of a, Franklin going after that weak contact again and getting it and actually getting the out this time. He'll certainly be pleased with that.
Franklin's interesting because a second-round pick out of the University of Tennessee, people wondered, much like they wondered with Liam Doyle, although he was among the top 10 picks in the first round. Is this a reliever or is he a starter? And I think if you're a Cardinal fan, you got to dream on this young man as a starter.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he was a reliever at Tennessee. So unlike Liam Doyle, you had something to point to and be like, okay, do you just let him relieve and move quickly towards St. Louis? But I think, like we were saying earlier, the Cardinals believe enough in where the fastball is. They like the shapes that he could generate. They think he could get to maybe an above average to plus sweeper as well. Put him in that lab, try to get something else here. They're going to manage him very carefully this year. They don't want to overrun him. He's not going to be 120 innings. But they still see him as a starter, and that's exactly how they should run him out there if they believe in him.
Pinch hitting for Sam Peterson is Yeremy Cabrera. You see his numbers at single A. Top 20 in the Washington Nationals farm system. Count even at 1 ball, 1 strike.
Yeremy Cabrera was one of the 5 prospects that the Nationals got back in the Mackenzie Gore trade. Had previously been with the Texas Rangers. Plus defense for him. He's only 5'11", but he can get to a decent amount of power, and it's plus speed as well.
96 upstairs from Franklin. Getting a chance to really impress this afternoon. Doesn't want to walk Cabrera because this is the guy that might replicate what we saw in the first inning of this game, where the Washington Nationals wouldn't stop running. They attempted 3 stolen bases in the top of the first. 2 of them, and they converted. He was letting it eat on 3-1.
That one was very much a, hey, guy, I know you've hit in single A. You have a little bit of pro experience. Here's some SEC heat. Deal with that. 95, a little bit down from where his max has been, but it still obviously plays with that ride.
So Cabrera is going to reach with 2 outs here in the 6th. Angel Feliz is entering this ball game, which means Eli Willett's afternoon at the moment has concluded. Eli Willett's walked twice, had a stolen base. Here's Angel Feliz. Reached 2 levels last year.
Nice first pitch breaking ball there from Franklin. Feliz is somebody who, he was ranked number 24 in his international class, signed for $1.8 million in January 2024. Hasn't quite put together the offensive results, although that's going to get through.
So a base hit to right. They won't run on Baez. First and second with 2 outs.
But Feliz, it's interesting that he's replacing Eli Willits in this game because from what I've heard, the Nationals believe enough in his defense that they want him getting as much time at shortstop as well. So if you have to imagine, if Willits is the shortstop at single A Fredericksburg, Feliz at the age of just 19 could go to high A just to get those shortstop reps.
Gavin Feen up next. There's going to be a meeting on the mound. Feen has been incredibly productive for the Washington Nationals. After Eli Willett's walk and then stole a base against Liam Doyle, he shot this one down the line for an RBI double, but Gavin Feen wasn't done. With the bases loaded, he shot the gap. And in the 2nd inning of this ball game, Gavin Feen had 4 RBIs.
He's the guy who's the designated hitter for today, so he's totally focused on hitting. And with that power potential for him, you can see why he was a top 15 pick in the draft. You can see why the Nationals saw him as the shining star of that Mackenzie Gore trade. And I like that he's getting an additional at-bat here while they're making line changes elsewhere. Keep showing off that bat while you're hot.
Defensively, where's his long-term home, you think?
I think he's going to end up at third base. He even has some first base experience, and there's some questions about, like, does he end up at first? If that's the case, he's a righty hitter, and that's a really tough profile.
His third hit of the ball game, and it's going to drive in potentially his 5th run at will. Gavin Feen with 3 hits and 5 RBIs in a spring breakout contest.
And I love that it was a different type of hit, too. Like, he's spreading it around, right? He's turned around velocity. He got to that one really well. 94 miles an hour coming in, 99 miles an hour going out from Gavin Feen, showing up ready to hit. Low outside corner, still drives it between the shortstop and third baseman. That's another RBI for him. What a day for Gavin Feen.
Wow, you tune in to watch Eli Willits, J.J. Weatherholt. Both are very impressive. You come away going, Gavin Feen, all 5 RBIs for the Nationals. This ground ball to second will end the inning. Weatherholt puts him away, but another knock, another RBI for Gavin Feen. The Nats up by 2, home half of the 6th coming up. It's been the Gavin Feen Show here in Jupiter, Florida. The DH for the Washington Nationals in the spring breakout game has all 5 RBIs. There's a new pitcher in the game, Josh Randall, a 6'4", 240-pound right-hander.
He was somebody that the Nationals picked up last year at the trade deadline for Kyle Finnegan. Only had a 4.2% walk rate in 109 2/3 innings at single A and high A. It's a 93 to 96 mile an hour four-seamer and sinker. He's got a lot of horizontal movement on his slider with good spin. He's also got a cutter and a changeup that he can go to. So it's a deep pitch mix with really good control. You wish there was a little bit more velo, but I think that's something that the Nationals are trying to push with all of their pitchers.
He's 23 years old. That slider induces a swing and miss. Former college product of the University of San Diego. We're in the bottom of the 6th of the spring breakout contest. Ryan Mitchell 0 for 2 in the ballgame. Sends this one deep to right, and it's gone. Ryan Mitchell connects. Hitting 9th in the lineup in his first hit of the afternoon. Gets the Cardinals within 1.
Ryan Mitchell, somebody who is known much more for his hit tool coming out of the draft last year out of Tennessee, but drives that one really nicely to right center. Nice hard hit hard hit ball on that one. I thought it had a chance to stay in. I don't think he got all of it off the bat, but it kept traveling and traveling and traveling here in Jupiter.
Two-hand finish. Here's Ty Pete. First pitch swinging, base hit the other way. That was a compact pass, and I will say this about Ryan Mitchell: long arms, very projectable. As he gets older, there's going to be more power in the tank.
Yeah, and he's already got speed, right? Like we were talking before about him playing both shortstop and center field because they want to make the most of his athleticism. If he's going to get power like that, and it was 103 off the bat, 362 feet to right center, that's going to be a really exciting profile in this card system.
96 miles an hour from Randall in there for a strike. Facing the Cardinals' top prospect, J.J. Weatherholt, looking for his 3rd hit of the ballgame. Ty Pete at first, a threat to run. He doesn't do it here, and the count's even at 1 ball and a strike.
Randall overthrowing that breaking ball a little bit too much. I wonder how much of it is in his head that he's already given up 2 hits in this inning, and he's staring down the best prospect in this game in J.J. Weatherholt.
Pete with a huge jump. You don't even need to throw it. He could have gone and stand it.
Again, stealing a page out of the Nats book here. Being aggressive. We've been shown a little bit of power here from Ryan Mitchell. Ty Pete absolutely has that speed.
Kevin Basil, the new catcher in this game for the Washington Nationals, he had no shot at throwing out Ty Pete. Weatherholt takes a ball, so another hitter's count for J.J. Weatherholt. One overlooked aspect to Weatherholt's afternoon, I think he's looked really smooth at second base.
He has, yeah. And it's interesting that they're getting him more work there, because I thought in this game maybe they try him at shortstop. But if that's where he's projected to be on the opening day roster, continue to get him work at second base, everything I've heard is that he's a better natural fit over there. He's got a decent arm. He can work at third base. He can make some of the throws from short. But I think putting him at second base right next to Mason Wynn, that's a dream double play combination.
3-1 changeup for Randall. What will he throw on 3-2? Ball 4. Weatherholt reaches for the 3rd time. Listen, I was impressed with Eli Willits. Obviously impressed with Joshua Baez. Really impressed with J.J. Weatherholt's game.
Yeah, that's a really professional at bat. And going up against somebody in Josh Randall, who we said before, only 4.2% walk rate last year. He's somebody who typically throws strikes. I think he knew he couldn't sneak one past J.J. Weatherholt in the zone, and got beat by J.J. Weatherholt not willing to expand either.
First pitch low to Joshua Baez. His last time up, a 2-run shot to left. Cardinals have a home run in this inning from Ryan Mitchell. Opportunity to tie or take the lead here in the bottom of the 6th. Catching the outside corner. Certain players just look hitterish. This guy foaming at the mouth to grab a bat. Joshua Baez. And you just wonder if he continues to play like this, how quickly the Cardinals will make a move and bring him up to the big leagues.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting. He's going to face, obviously, more experienced pitchers at AAA. He's going to work in the ABS system, and there he wears his 2nd one of the day. People are not willing to pitch out over the plate against Joshua Baez because we saw what happens when you do that before. It's unfortunate that he didn't get to swing the bat there, but bases are loaded now for the Cardinals, and a pinch hitter up in Josh Cross.
Josh Cross will dig in a left-handed bat. He is pinch hitting for Leo Bernal. Bernal, one of the Cardinals' top catching prospects, was DHing in this game. So Baez hit by a pitch for the 2nd time, like Sam said, has driven in 2 with a 2-run shot his last time up. All right, spring breakout. Josh Cross, grab a bat. You're going to hit with the bases loaded, no one out in the 6th.
Yeah, Josh Cross, the 2024 6th rounder out of Cincinnati, hit 16 homers between single A and high A, topped out at 110.6 exit velocity in single A. So we know he's got the pop, and he's shown it in this stadium before.
Bit of a pickle for Josh Randall, the young right-hander. Bases loaded, no one out. He's already served up a home run. He falls behind 2-0. This comebacker's off his glove. It's going to be tough to get Cross at first, and they won't. No play, run scores, we're tied.
That's a tough play by both Josh Randall and Seaver King. Seaver King going towards second base, has to come in on the ball, thought about throwing it over, just decides to eat it instead of making a tough play. Maybe he thought the throw was going to be off balance, it was going to go into the stands, something like that. Bases are now loaded for Raniel Rodriguez, one of the best power hitters in this game.
Raniel Rodriguez had 20 home runs in around 80 minor league games last year. Cardinals are very excited about him.
Now, if you're Rodriguez, you've seen J.J. Weatherholt do well. You've seen Joshua Baez hit a tank. As we sit here right now, Raniel Rodriguez 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. And another whiff there. I'd be interested, given how young he is he going to try to put one in the seats too and get out of his approach? He's down now 0-2 against a pitcher who has really been struggling in this inning otherwise.
Randall misses on the inside part of the plate, looking for his first out of this inning. The Cardinals have scored 2 so far in the frame. Bases loaded, 1 ball, 2 strikes to Raniel Rodriguez. And that hit him. Cardinals take the lead, and Randall's struggling here in the bottom of the 6th.
Yeah, this is really atypical from Josh Randall. Normally his command and control are so much better than this. Really struggling to get around the slider on that one. I think he looked at that pitch right before it to Raniel Rodriguez and saw it just miss the inside corner, was trying to replicate that. But sometimes you miss too far inside and you get a hit by a pitch that gives up the lead.
Meeting at the mound, try to calm this youngster down. It's a great opportunity, Sam, for all of these young players, but when it starts to spiral out of control, especially with the pitch clock, and you're a young pitcher, I can imagine the game speeds up.
It speeds up really quickly on you. And it's a good idea to get a timeout here. I know the Nationals have been basically running 1 pitcher per inning, so Got to give the guy out in the bullpen right now some time to get warm. But this is also an opportunity for the Cardinals, too. I mean, it's a teachable moment for the Nats, but this is situational hitting here for Blaze Jordan, who's somebody, you know, a rarity in this game today, in this breakout game, who has touched AAA already, and somebody who could push for the majors in 26.
First pitch misses from Josh Randall. Blaze Jordan's 23 years old, looking for his third hit. This inning started with a solo shot from Ryan Mitchell, the left fielder, batting 9th in the order for the Cardinals. Ty Pete was able to reach, steal a bag. J.J. Weatherholt also reached via walk. Joshua Baez was hit by a pitch. Randall has stayed erratic, falling behind to Blaze Jordan. Last year, Blaze Jordan drove in 99. An RBI machine looking for one here. They're going to get one. Can they turn it? Indeed. Run does score, but now 2 outs in the 6th. Cardinals up by a pair.
That's a really nice play by Coy James coming in at third base. Somebody who was drafted as a shortstop. He's very much in that mix that we've talked about, right? Of if you are in this organization and you are a young shortstop, you're probably trying out a new position. Coy James sliding over to third base there. Really nice glove work going to his left. Strong throw to second. Gets the runner there, and then there's plenty of time to get Blaze Jordan up first.
So that does it. Josh Randall removed from this game. A new pitcher coming in for the Nats. It's 7-5. The Cardinals with the lead in the bottom of the 6th. Back to Jupiter right after this. A big bottom of the 6th for the St. Louis Cardinals in the spring breakout contest against the Washington Nationals. They now have a 7-5 lead. It's Greg Amsinger and Sam Dykstra of MLB Pipeline in the booth bringing this broadcast today. Tucker Bivin on the mound. Another opportunity for a young right-hander in the national system.
Yeah, he's somebody with experience coming in big games. He was a 13th round pick last year out of Louisville, but he came out of the bullpen and threw 4 shutout innings against Arizona in an elimination game at the College World Series last June. And then he also entered in a tie game with 2 runners in scoring position and nobody out in the 9th inning in an elimination game against Oregon State and escaped that to help Louisville get a walk-off win. Good arm to go to in a game like this.
Josh Randall was able to induce a double play, and his day would be over. Had a hard time finding home plate. Had a couple walks, hit a couple guys, served up a leadoff homer to Ryan Mitchell to start the bottom of the 6th. Jesus Baez, shortstop for the Cardinals, 1 for 2 with a walk. Trying to drive in that insurance run at third. Josh Cross at third for the St. Louis Cardinals. Bivin ahead in the count. No balls, 2 strikes. It's going to be interesting to see the timeline of the Washington Nationals and how it aligns with their superstar player, James Wood.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see how they can get this all to work. Breaking ball there just keeps going outside. But I think people in D.C., fans around D.C., are a little sick of hearing rebuild over and over. But I will say that this front office that they brought in, the player development staff that they brought in, I think you're going to see gains at the lower levels and some really promising talent making its way towards DC. I think you're going to see some of the guys who have been in the organization get better, and then you're going to see these super young guys that they brought in via the draft, via trades, and it's going to be much easier to dream in Nats land than it has been in recent years. Now, is Eli Willits ever going to play with James Wood?
That's a good question.
We'll see. We'll see.
Baez shoots this one up the middle with a 2-out RBI knock. Makes the score 8-5. Cardinals with the lead. Jesus Baez showing us why so many people in the organization have been impressed this spring.
And why the Cardinals were excited to get him from the Mets in last year's trade. I know he's been inconsistent with the bat. It can sometimes look like he's taking plays off, but just gets that one through. I think the Nats would like Angel Feliz to get to that ball a little bit better, get the body in front of it a little better to make that play and throw out Baez, but Baez will certainly take it.
Here's Cade McGee, batting 8th, playing third base in this ball game for the Cardinals. So a big bottom of the 6th. The Cardinals have plated 5 in the frame. These are two farm systems that are in different directions at the moment. Cardinals are a top 5 farm system as they're currently ranked. What are the Washington Nationals?
They are below that. I believe we have them at 17th. But I will say they are kind of headed in the same direction in that they are both much better now than they were at the end of last season, given some of the trades, given some of the internal development. If you're the Nats, I think it's going to now be on that player development staff that we were just talking about to get some of these talents to better places. Like I'm not going to sit here and say Eli Willits is going to be a top 5 prospect by the end of the year, but I think if they get a successful year out of him, if Gavin Feen looks like a top 100 guy, if they get some other pop-up prospects that the really good, really deep farm systems develop, that could easily be a top 10 system by the end of the year.
Baez trying to swipe second, and it's ball 4. Hopefully he's okay.
Is he taking more of a rest, or is he
he's smiling, so I think he's okay.
Yeah. He's been in this game the whole time. Maybe it's not a bad idea to settle down a little bit, slow things down.
Looks like this gold chain may have paid the price. Well, the guy that got the party started with a solo shot in this inning, the Cardinals have batted around, and Ryan Mitchell hitting with 2 on and 2 outs. Up there swinging, sends this to left field. It will be tracked down. Nice play in left. Glasser makes the catch, and the inning comes to an end. So the Cardinals, big bottom of the 6th. They score 5. They're up by 3. Lead. The big names have really impressed. Eli Willits walked twice, stole a bag. J.J. Weatherholt, a couple of hits, has looked really good. Yoker Fajardo is the new pitcher on the mound for the Cardinals.
He's one of the rare traded twice before his 20th birthday types. But I think in this case, it's a good thing. He was traded from the White Sox to the Red Sox in December 2024 for Cam Boozer, who was DFA'd at the time. And then a year later was traded to the Cardinals as part of the Wilson Contreras deal this offseason. His 4-seamer and 2-seamer have been around 93, 95 in the past, but I've heard that he's been up to 98 this spring. The Cardinals really like how they can dream on his velocity, given his size at 6'3", and how much velo he can still gain as he goes into his 20s. Sliders plus, changeups above average. It could be a really exciting miss if he puts it all together.
He's facing Jorgelis Mota, who in the previous half inning came in as the center fielder for the Washington Nationals. Right-handed bat. In the hole, no balls, 2 strikes.
Mota had one of the highlights of spring for the Nats when he hit a homer at 115 miles an hour back on February 21st. It's some of the best pure power in the entire system. He's a good runner, too, but he's consistently above average whiff rates against breaking balls, as you see there. That's going to be his real bugaboo.
Right on cue there,
yeah,
Sam.
No, I couldn't get the note out fast
enough.
No,
you couldn't.
I swear it's in this.
Yoker Fajardo with his first punch out in this ballgame. Is Fajardo viewed as a relief arm, or do they see potential starter in him?
I think there's definitely starting potential there. It's average control, but there's enough for him to, work as a starter, work multiple innings. He's got a deep enough pitch mix with that 4-seamer, 2-seamer slider and changeup. It's really going to come down to how much velocity he can really add, and can he maintain that control when he is touching 98 more consistently.
Yohandy Morales, who started this game at first base, still in the ballgame, and he takes a strike. Cutter from Fajardo. 0 for 3 in the ballgame. Sends this one back up the middle. And he's retired for the second out in the 7th. So far, so good from Yoker Fajardo.
Nice and easy. After some of the chaos that had happened earlier in the game, I think you're seeing why it's easy to dream on him. He's delivering strikes, weak contact, making it work and settling this game in, which is exactly what the Cardinals need with an 8-5 lead.
Coy James digging in for the Washington Nationals, down by 3. You see his numbers in high school. When you hit over 600, you're going to get a lot of people's attention.
When your OPS starts with 1.9, that's going to help. He's a power over hit tool bat. He was drafted in the 5th round last year, but they signed him for $2.5 million, showing how much they believe in him. That was tied for the 2nd highest bonus in the draft class. 6-foot infielder, but he added weight going into the draft year that allowed that power to play and put him on the Nats' radar.
The number 17 prospect in the Washington National system. Facing Yoker Fajardo, and that was an impressive half inning from the right-hander. He puts him away with 97. It's time to stretch here in Jupiter. Cardinals holding on to a 3-run lead. And the spring breakout contest between the Nationals and the Cardinals rolls on from Jupiter, Florida. 8-5 is your score. The Cardinals, the big 6th inning. It's Greg Amsinger and Sam Dykstra calling the action this afternoon. New pitcher in the game, Sean Paul Lignon for the Washington Nationals. You see his numbers were 3 levels last year, a top 30 prospect for them.
He's somebody the Nationals got from the Dodgers in the Alex Call deal last year. Only a few innings for the Nats after that, but he rounded out his year with 106 strikeouts in only 77 1/3 innings. The absolute star of the show in his profile is a 79 to 82 mile an hour changeup. It's almost like a screwball. And with the Nationals and their new group right now, one thing that they are hammering home with all of their pitching prospects is don't feel like you have to throw the fastball just to throw the fastball. Throw your best pitches a lot. And I think Lignon could be one of the poster boys for that, because we could see a lot of changeups just because of the action on it is so good. Don't throw the fastball that was only 90 to 93 and have it get crushed because you feel like you have to throw it. Throw the changeup if it's your best pitch.
That fastball at 92 is in there to Travis Honeyman, who's in the game for the St. Louis Cardinals. 24-year-old, 6'2" outfielder. 3rd-round pick back in 2023 out of Boston College. Love the specs. Takes me back to the old Chris Sabo days, Cincinnati Reds.
Takes me back to my high school basketball days when my sister would call me Rex.
Oh, you wore specs, huh?
I did wear specs, yes. So, yeah, I have a kindred spirit up there in Travis Honeyman.
Last year, Honeyman had 287 in the minor leagues.
He was a 3rd rounder out of BC in 2023 and just has really struggled to get going consistently. He actually tore the labrum and rotator cuff in his left shoulder only weeks before the draft in 2023, was still limited with some shoulder stuff in 2024, dealt with hamstring issues last year, got some extra time in the Arizona Fall League, but I think this is the year that they're hoping he can maybe get going with a little bit more athleticism and consistent at-bats.
If you look at his minor league career, he's been an on-base guy.
He has been an on-base guy. It's just you would hope that he would have been at AA or AAA by now. I believe he's Rule 5 eligible this offseason, so there's a lot of decisions coming down the pike for him, but he just needs to be on the field consistently to force those decisions.
This fly ball sent into center, and Mota's going to track it down for the first out in the bottom of the 7th.
Interesting read there from Mota. He's somebody who spent a lot of time early in his career on the infield. I know a lot of people in the Nats system are excited about what he can do at 3rd base, but given the options that they have and the guys who are going to have to move over to 3rd, they want to try his athleticism in center field. And I threw this out, and I'm not making the comp at all, but I think given his skill set, I wonder if they're trying to do the same thing with the Pirates have done with O'Neal Cruz, right? Somebody who's really big, can just eat up grass in center field. He's going to have to improve the reads and roots. Kind of what he did there, he almost overran it, but that's only going to come with experience.
John Gazdar getting his first at-bat of this game. Big leg kick, takes a ball upstairs. He's 24 years old. He was an 11th rounder in 2024 at Austin Peay State University. .5'11", 180 pounds. And that big leg kick trying to generate some load and power, and that's going to be tracked down at first base for the out. It's a nice play at first. Handy Morales makes the grab for the 2nd out.
Morales, another guy who's been moving around a decent amount early in his career. 3rd baseman by trade. They've had to move him over to first base. A lot of people, when he was drafted, kind of assumed that was going to come at some point. But the Nats believe he could actually be an asset defensively at first base. Use some of those actions that he learned at 3rd and just not have to worry about the arm. He does have a pretty good arm. But just be a big target and track down balls like that to get outs.
Here's Colton Ledbetter. Left-handed bat, 6'1", 205-pounder. 24 years old, was drafted in the 2nd round by the Tampa Bay Rays in 2023.
He's somebody I'm fascinated by because he came over from the Rays in the Brendan Donovan trade. If there was a 3-way trade to be made, the Tampa Bay Rays always feel like they're involved somehow. They're going to elbow their way in. And through that, the Cardinals, by trading Brendan Donovan to Seattle, still ended up with a Tampa Bay prospect. He's been impressing the Cardinals a lot in early work. He has more raw power than he showed last year, only hit 7 homers at AA. Stole 37 bags. It's probably closer to average speed. He's going to be a corner bat probably in the end. So he's going to need that power to come around. We'll see what happens when he gets out of the Southern League and goes to the Texas League this year. But there's some decent raw pop in there, and I think, you know, maybe the Cardinals can unlock something, give him a different set of eyes, a different set of instructions. Couldn't hurt.
2-1 pitch. He swings through that. Nice changeup.
There's that trademark Lignon changeup, which works perfectly against the lefty bat, and you kind of see Ledbetter smiling a little bit.
That was nasty.
Yeah, you don't know what to do with it when it's trailing away from you like that. Once you decide to swing, you're kind of just hoping you foul it off.
Like that. I got to tell you, of all the secondary pitches we've seen this afternoon, his changeup's one of my favorites.
Jim Callis did a best tools of spring breakout, just looking at everybody who's participating in this. The best changeup was Sean Paul Lignon.
I don't want to drop a Fernando Rodney level changeup, but it's pretty effective. He can tell you he's throwing it. Just misses on the 2-2 offering.
And just look at it. We were saying this earlier. You know, this is what the Nationals are hammering down on guys. If you don't have a good fastball, don't throw the fastball. Changeup, slider, changeup, 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 changeup. Keep going to it.
Colton Ledbetter draws the walk. He didn't chase on 3-2. Good at bat. Ledbetter's had a couple walk-off hits so far in camp. Organizations like the way he swung the bat. He reaches in his first plate appearance with 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th. Noah Menlinger getting a chance to hit here.
He's somebody who's had a really good spring just away from here. He played for Team Israel in the WBC. 5 for 11 with 2 walks and no strikeouts.
It's ground ball to first, and Morales was busy in the half inning. A very impressive frame from Sean Paul Lignon. Walked 1, but was able to have a scoreless frame in the 7th. A fun day of baseball on MLB Network, on MLB.tv. It's the Spring Breakout Series. Yoker Fajardo, young right-hander, pitched a scoreless 7th. On to the 8th inning we go. See what he can do against the Washington Nationals young lineup. And Philip Glasser. Greg Amsinger and Sam Dykstra. This young man has been impressive. I don't think he's hit a ball incredibly hard, but not everyone chases exit velocity these days.
Yeah, and he's got one of those throwback stances. We haven't really commented on that yet, but it's a little bit open. He's keeping things moving, and then he gets that really big leg kick moving. Drove that one, probably his hardest hit ball of the day.
This one to right, and it'll be tracked down for the first out. Ledbetter makes the catch. Fajardo is cruising here in the later stages of this ballgame. In case you're just joining us, Eli Willits, the #1 pick in last year's draft. He drew a pair of walks, stole a base, and looked good as short. J.J. Weatherholt, the top prospect for the St. Louis Cardinals, had a pair of hits, reached base 3 times in this ballgame. Liam Doyle, the Cardinals' top pitching prospect, had a hard time getting the ball over the plate. He was a bit erratic in this ballgame. And Joshua Baez, who's, I think, got a lot of helium right now. The Cardinals are extremely excited about the right fielder. Hit a 2-run bomb and was hit by a pitch twice in this ballgame. Kevin Basil sends it to right. This ball's driven up against the wall. Ledbetter had a hard time picking it up off the bat, and Basil's in for a double.
Nice job by Basil there. He was somebody who didn't have any homers all of last season, so the power has been a big question, but he shows it there to the opposite field. Had to kind of turn on the Jets a little bit after he got to first base.
I kind of think he thought he got it.
I know, he might have.
Just the bat toss alone Yermi Cabrera walked his first time up with 1 out in the 8th.
Just to go back to that Basil double for a second, he's somebody who, one of the other questions was not just the power, but overall angles at which he's hitting the ball. His ground ball rate was above 50%. So if he's driving the ball in the air like that, that's a really promising sign. The Nationals have brought him up a few times in terms of guys who they believe could be in for a rebound. That's another piece of evidence right there.
Fajardo evens the count, 1 ball, 1 strike. He has really been impressive in this game. Looks like he's got command of all 3 of his pitches.
He's been in much more control just in terms of his body compared to what we saw earlier with Doyle, right? And I'm not saying that that's going to make him a better prospect than Doyle. Doyle has more electric stuff, but he's pumping strikes and keeping them moving and getting a big strike out there with a runner on second.
Terrific sink. I mean, this guy, I am impressed with Yoker Fajardo. This thing just drops off the table.
Doesn't look nervous, and there's not much Cabrera could do once he decided to swing. That ball was basically on his shoe tops.
Angel Feliz, who's in the game, he replaced Eli Willits at short. Getting a chance for a second at bat. Takes a cutter for a strike. Looking for his second hit of the ball game. 8-5, the Cardinals with the lead. Man, I'm telling you right now, there are certain guys that just have a feel, and Yoker Fajardo has to be impressing the Cardinals brass.
That pitch just dropped off the table really, really nicely, and he's pitching a little bit backwards here. I wonder if he goes to the heat against Feliz to just kind of speed him up a little.
And that is shot, but snared at first base to end the threat. Yoker Fajardo, 2 scoreless frames for the St. Louis Cardinals. Home half of the 8th coming up from Jupiter, Florida. Well, if you had a scorecard for this spring breakout game, good luck fitting in all the names. An opportunity for so many young players to impress on a national stage. The Nationals are trailing the Cardinals by 3 in the bottom of the 8th. Cesar Rojas, a 23-year-old right-hander, on the mound for the Nats.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting because he's somebody we just haven't seen much of at the full season level. He had 4 straight years in the Dominican Summer League between Houston and Tampa Bay. Finally saw single A at the tail end of last year. He was a minor league Rule 5 pickup from the Rays. So for people who don't know, there's the Rule 5 draft in which you have to stick in the majors. If you are taken in the minor league phase, you don't have to stick. You are just in that new organization. And we're seeing a little bit of that inexperience there with him falling off the mound and hitting his first batter face.
Ryan Campos is hit in the foot. Hopefully it was the shin guard. The young catcher is going to reach to start the home half of the 8th. Campos is 5'8", a 4th-round pick in 2024 out of Arizona State. Another look.
Yeah, it looked like just as Rojas was getting to the release point, his front leg maybe locked up on him a little bit and just had no command of it. Found Campos instead.
Rojas trying to impress the Washington Nationals with this opportunity in the spring breakout. He's facing Jack Gurovich, his first at-bat of the afternoon. Misses on the inside part of the plate. 6 foot, 215-pound left-handed bat. He's 22 years old. 3rd-round pick last year out of the University of San Diego.
Gurovich made that play at first base to end last inning. And he's also had one of, I would say, the highlights among Cardinals prospects outside of Joshua Baez this spring. He had a single at 114.1 miles per hour. It's the 2nd hardest hit ball by anybody in Cardinals this spring. The only one who's hit one harder was Jordan Walker. So we'll see how things kind of come together for him. Last year at single A didn't show that type of high-end exit velocity. If he's doing it this spring, it certainly has arched some eyebrows and made people pay attention as he gets going in pro.
His final season at the University of San Diego, Gurovich hit .371, .477 on base percentage, 17 homers, 56 RBIs in 56 college games. And he takes a strike. Well, he'll have the green light on 3-1. That was 99.
So that's why you take somebody like this in the minor league Rule 5 draft. If they're pumping that level of velocity, that's tough to find, and it's a cheap way to find good velocity.
Jack Gurevich on 3-1. What will we see? Ball 4. So Cesar Rojas off to a rough start in the bottom of the 8th. We had a couple exciting moments in this ball game. Liam Doyle obviously facing Eli Willits for the very first time. It was fun. It was what you wanted to see. J.J. Weatherholt with a couple of base hits. One of the first pitch he saw. Joshua Baez, a 2-run shot. Ryan Mitchell hitting 9th in the order, left fielder for the St. Louis Cardinals, hit a solo home run. Holland Flores is at the plate now for the Redbirds. 2 on, no one out. Cesar Rojas trying to pitch around, being a bit erratic early on.
Flores was an 11th round pick out of the University of Texas last year, signed for $175,000. He was actually ranked number 235 on the MLB pipeline, top 250 for the 2025 draft. He's got some power. His best grade comes on his arm, which is a 60. He chased a lot versus breakers in college. He had a 32.4% strikeout rate and a very small taste of single A at last year. But it's going to be, can he make enough contact to get the most of that power? And, you know, does that arm, does that move him over to third base? Can he remain at shortstop? All questions for his first full season.
Swings through a 2-0 cutter. And it's a tall body.
It is. It is. But I think we're kind of in an age now where just being a tall guy doesn't rule you out of being a shortstop. Everybody tries to make tall shortstop comps to Corey Seager. I know there are some organizations that are showing any shortstop they have above 6'3". Like, here's Corey Seager highlights. This is how you can make it work around the bag at that height. That being said, it is still a mountain to climb. And is he going to have enough athleticism for that spot? But so much is going to come down to him making contact.
Fights off 88, a cutter from Cesar Rojas. Flores is 22 years old. His last year at University of Texas, he went from an outstanding previous season where he had 340 with 18 homers. His average slipped to 239. And he slid in the draft because of that. And we don't know if he battled injuries or we don't know what the reason was for the drop-off in production, but
sometimes the book just gets out on college guys too. I mean, everybody's doing their research, and if he's somebody who's chasing a lot versus breaking pitches, I would keep throwing him breaking pitches as they just did there.
That chopper is going to lead to a single.
Tough play there for Coy James. Again, he's somebody who's transitioning to third base in this game, somebody who's more of a natural shortstop. I wonder if Feliz was trying to call him off there. We'll see here on the replay. Both of them make the move towards the ball. I think I would have let Feliz play that one.
I'm kind of surprised he didn't attempt to make the throw across the diamond.
Yeah, he probably should have, just to give it a chance.
Daniel Ortiz has an opportunity. Bases loaded, no one out. Cesar Rojas induced weak contact, but he just could not put him away. So Flores reaches.
Ortiz has one of my favorite stances in the Cardinals system. Watch him here. It's almost like he takes a seat back. He leans back a little bit, gets comfortable. He's got really good power. He showed it here in Single A Palm Beach last year. Carried that to High A Peoria. Ended last year with 13 homers, batted 300. My thing for him is, and this is the Cardinals question too, can he remain at third base? He's already got some time at first base. He becomes so much more valuable if he can stick at the hot corner.
This ground ball to second could be 2. Indeed. And that's exactly what the doctor ordered for Cesar Rojas. Cardinals who get a run across, makes the score now 9-5.
Infield, or the second baseman playing a little bit in there, but nice hands, nice feed. Good job by Angel Feliz to throw it across the diamond to the bigger target, Johan Di Martinez at first.
Feliz with an opportunity to show off his arm. Zach Levinson, right-handed bat for the St. Louis Cardinals, with an opportunity to drive in a 2-out RBI.
Levinson's somebody else who got WBC experience with Team Israel this spring. He went 3 for 14. There's some raw power in there. He slugged .484 and had a 128 WRC plus in 26 games at AA Springfield last year. He was hit on the left wrist in 2024. That limited him a little bit, and I think that's what caused him to repeat high A, searching for more consistent results now that he's going to open back up at AA Springfield. But at least last year's taste of the Texas League set him up for some success in 26.
Rojas, a guy that can touch 99 miles an hour. He's done it in his half inning, throwing a lot of breaking balls. This one up the middle will result in a 2-out RBI knock. No, great play. And the frame comes to an end. The Cardinals do tack on one more. We're going to the 9th inning. Redbirds looking to put the finishing touches on this spring breakout contest. We're up 9-5. We're in the top of the 9th. Cardinals looking to put the finishing touches on the Washington Nationals in the spring breakout contest. It's Greg Amsinger and Sam Dykstra in the booth for this one. Sam, the 3 prospects that impressed you the most?
I think we got to start with Gavin Feen. He's hitting the ball hard. He's driving in runs. He's driven in all 5 for the Nationals. Joshua Baez hitting that tank, living up to expectations. Unfortunately, getting hit twice and not being able to swing the bat as much as he would like, but still, when he did, he brought the thunder. And J.J. Weatherholt, looking like J.J. Weatherholt. Getting on base multiple times, walking, picking up hits. It's exactly what you would have expected when you found out he was going to be playing in this game, despite contending for a major league job.
Feen looking to add to a 5 RBI day. Gavin Feen still in the ball game. He started this game batting second and DHing. Facing Yoker Fajardo, who, if you gave me a top 10 most impressive prospects, I think Fajardo would make that cut.
He's looked the most at ease, I think, of any pitcher we've seen, at least go multiple innings. I know it's been a revolving door for the Nationals, and we've only seen 1 inning at a time for guys, but Fajardo has looked at incredibly settled for a guy who doesn't have the SEC experience of a Tanner Franklin or Liam Doyle.
I think the most impressive pitch I saw in this game, Sean Paul Lignon. His changeup was filthy as Feen reaches base yet again. Tanner Franklin, young right-hander for the St. Louis Cardinals. I was impressed.
You can see the raw materials there, right? He had the velo. He had some interesting pitch shapes to make it work. I wonder what the pitch load or the workload's going to be like. How many innings can they get under his belt? But I would absolutely keep trotting him out as a starter. I think he answered that question today.
This is sent into the gap. That's going to get down. It's going to be first and third. The Washington Nationals not done yet. Devin Fitzgerald with a base hit. Nats need one more base runner to bring the tying run to the plate.
Devin Fitzgerald, another key piece of that Mackenzie Gore trade back in January. He was a 5th-round pick by the Texas Rangers in 2024. His dad is actually the head coach at Stoneman Douglas High School in Florida, not too far from here, where he worked with Roman Anthony, Jesus Luzardo, and Kobe Mayo. Everything I've heard is that he's very much a coach's son, somebody who could get the most of his tools.
Or Haley's Mota swings to this breaking ball for strike 1. Mota struck out his last time up against the same pitcher, Yoker Fajardo. And then Fajardo, who's gotten a bit erratic in this frame, hits Mota. So now the tying run will come to the plate for the Nationals.
And that batter who is coming up is Yohendry Morales, who we talked about before in terms of his defense at first base. He had an interesting offseason. He went to Puerto Rico, played in the Puerto Rican Winter League, and took off there. For somebody who hasn't shown the power as consistently as you would have hoped given his frame, he had a 445-foot home run in the semifinal game of the 2026 Caribbean Series. He had 13 extra base hits in 15 games. From what I've heard from the Nats, they really have looked positively at the way he's pulled and lifted the ball better. But then this is some of the bad habits he used to get in putting the ball on the ground.
That first pitch swinging, it's a swinging bunt. A run will come across, but it's the first out in the 9th for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Good job there by Fajardo getting a pitch on the outside and causing Morales to extend his arms a little bit too much. I like the barehanded play there at third base. Strong throw across the diamond to get him. He's not a quick mover, but it was a little bit closer. Good job by Danielle Ortiz.
A terrific barehanded play. Coy James digging in for the Nats. 9-6 the score. Fajardo misses upstairs with 96.
So again, if you're the Nationals, or if you're the Cardinals, I should say, you don't hate that Fajardo is in a little bit of a wicket here and trying to get out of it with 2 weakly hit balls. So he's responding pretty well to a very difficult situation after what had been a relatively easy afternoon for him.
I got to tell you, Sam, the natural sink that he brings off of his, not his four-seamer, but everything else is low in the zone. He's going to induce weak contact throughout his career if he can keep that movement.
If he can keep that up, and if he can layer on some velocity on top of that, which he is showing a little bit of today, that's going to be a really important pitching prospect.
Philip Glasser, the old school, open, hands close to the body batting stance. Had a couple hits in this ball game. 2 on, 2 outs. Nats down by 3. Yoker Fajardo trying to put this thing away. Falls behind 2-0. It's been a fun afternoon. A lot of young players impressing on national television. Fajardo misses yet again, 3-0.
Glasser's going to make him earn it, showing off that approach that's allowed him to be a career 300 hitter in the minor leagues.
Will he be taking on 3-0? Yes, indeed, and that's in their first strike. 95 from Yoker Fajardo. Next year, it's been reported that this series will turn into a bit of a tournament, right?
Yeah, we're still waiting to see exactly what that structure is going to look like, but these games are going to mean something. It's going to be advancing in Florida and Arizona.
Glasser comes through again. What a ball game. He drives in 2. We have a 1-run game. His 3rd hit of the ball game. Philip Glasser makes it 9-8.
With runners on 2nd and 3rd, the message is just get the ball in play. Give yourself a chance to drive in those runs. And I don't know if there's a batter in the Nationals lineup that I would prefer to get that opportunity and answer that bell or answer that call. Like, just get the ball in play, allow yourself the chance to drive in those runs. Philip Glasser does that again, 3 for 5 on the day with a double and 2 RBIs.
Fajardo meeting on the mound has thrown 38 pitches in this ball game. He was cruising his first 2 innings. He was smooth, did not have any stress pitches. But in this frame, the Washington Nationals have tacked on 3. So they're having a conversation. They're going to let him stay in there, try to get the final out here in the top of the 9th. I'm okay with young hitters having an approach like Philip Glasser. A bit of a Luis Ariz type of hitter. A guy that's not trying to take an A-hack on every swing he takes. There are certain players that should have that role, and I truly believe that. Pete Alonso should have the role. Take an A-hack every single time. You are on this team to hit bombs. But a guy like Glasser, that's who you want hitting in a situation like that.
Yeah, I think if you were telling him, like, hey, pull and lift every ball, that's how he goes from a 300 hitter to a 210 hitter, right? He's just going to roll over balls. It has to be individualized skill sets, and I think that's what's going to be the strength of both of these systems moving forward, is that they're not going to have a one-size-fits-all approach to the entire system. They're going to learn the strengths of their hitters, learn the strengths of their pitchers, and develop them accordingly, and not try to make everybody throw a sweeper or have everybody swinging for the fences all the time. It has to be individualized player plans, and that's something the Cardinals have done really well in the last year, and I think it's something the Nationals could do really well moving forward with this new group.
Yoker Fajardo just misses. He's 1 strike away from ending this ball game. Kevin Basil, the catcher, doubled his first time up. In the hole, 1 ball, 2 strikes. 2 outs in the 9th. The tying run now at first base for the Nets. Just missing low in the zone.
That was a long frame. They wanted that one.
It was a good fastball. Fajardo is trying to end this ball game. Kevin Basil wants to continue the rally. Ground ball back to Fajardo, and that'll do it. Final out in this ball game, the St. Louis Cardinals top prospects defeat the Washington Nationals by a score of 9-8. Sam, overall, a lot of players were able to break out in this broadcast.
Yeah, we were talking about a lot of different tools and different skill sets, and we got to see all of them on display. You got Philip Glasser, who's a contact-heavy guy. He picks up a couple hits. You got to see J.J. Weatherholt with a really patient approach. You got to see Joshua Baez put on a power show, right? We didn't see all of one thing here today. We saw multiple different types of prospects. Fajardo looking really strong at the beginning of his outing, coming a little bit unglued there at the end. But I think it was a great day. I think this is exactly what this event should be.
Two farm systems that are really going to define the futures of these organizations. The Cardinals, a top 5 farm system, were able to come back. They had a big 6th inning, 5 runs in that frame, and they were able to defeat the Washington Nationals 9-8 here in Jupiter, Florida. For Sam Dykstra, my name is Greg Amsinger. Thank you so much for watching the 2026 Spring Breakout Series right here on MLB Network and MLB.tv.